Chapter 4526, Chapter 4526, Battling the Supreme's Clone. Chapter 4526, Battling the Supreme's Clone. Blue robe, green robe, white robe. The color of the robe differed, but the shape and patterns were exactly the same. Lin Moyu couldn't help wondering if there was a connection among these. The green robe belonged to the Central Domain Supreme, the white robe to the Upper Domain Supreme, and this blue-robed figure was the North Pole Supreme. Could it be that all 8 Supremes wear the same style, just in different colors? If so, there must be some symbolism after all. Each Supreme was from a different race, with vastly different tastes. Why would they choose matching attire? Lost in thought, Lin Moyu felt the gaze of the blue-robed figure on him. Though the face was indistinct, Lin Moyu could feel himself being watched. The next instant, a wave of cold swept through his soul, and his whole soul world began to freeze. Fire! Lin Moyu shouted. The flames of his soul blazed, driving out the chill. Just for a moment, he felt a bone-deep murderous intent from the other. If his soul hadn't been strong enough, he would have died already. Silent and formless, the blue-robed Supreme's soul attack was far deadlier than the previous clones. Lin Moyu tried to lock onto the foe, but found it impossible. The figure was right before him, visible to the eye, yet on the soul level, could not be locked at all. This hadn't happened since his adventure in the Western Pure Land. Their soul's tier is too high. It wasn't simply a matter of soul strength, but one of soul level. Lin Moyu ruled invincibly within chaos rank, but the foe stood on a higher rung. Even if Lin Moyu's soul power matched, on the level scale, he was beneath the Supreme. Such differences were inherent to the rules of chaos. Tiers could not easily be crossed. The blue-robed figure rose slowly, waves sweeping from him, and in an instant, the world turned blue. Blue rain fell, freezing all heaven and earth. Ice crystals covered his body, icy dread piercing to the marrow. The Supreme's ice bypassed Lin Moyu's physical defenses and could freeze him to death. Still, Lin Moyu's flesh was strong enough that it would take a long time to kill him. Even so, Lin Moyu snorted coldly. Yanjian and the space-time soul serpent appeared, charging at the Supreme amid the blue rain. Yanjian was a quasi-supreme from the Chaos Spirit's inner world. Though a bit weaker than a true Supreme, he was no small force. Lin Moyu figured a quasi-supreme would be enough for a Supreme's clone plus the soul serpent and 3 more underlings. Even if they couldn't kill the Supreme's clone, they should be able to suppress it. But reality proved otherwise. The blue-robed figure vanished. Lin Moyu watched as his soul spread and body merged with the world, becoming one with the blue rain. Supremes could merge entirely with chaos wherever chaos existed, so did they. Legend said, if chaos could not die, neither could a Supreme. Yet Lin Moyu knew that wasn't quite true. Supremes could still be killed. At least, Dao could do it. Yanjian launched a barrage at the blue rain. For a second, the rain paused. The soul serpent whipped up the space, causing a countercurrent in the blue downpour. But the rain only grew thicker, blue light saturating space, the cold intensifying. Ice covered Yanjian and the others. They tried to dispel it, but gradually slowed under the deepening blue. Yanjian raged with fire. Dragons shot upward, but were shredded by blue light. Attack after attack, but with little effect. He was pressed down, unable even to fly skyward for long. A quasi-supreme from an inner world was so outmatched that he couldn't handle even a Supreme's clone. This surprised Lin Moyu. The soul serpent fared even worse, half-frozen, much weaker, and slower. As for its 3 subordinates, they were immobilized entirely. A Supreme really is hard to handle. Looks like the first Supreme's clone I met here was being polite, not really trying to kill me. But this clone is ruthless, probably under orders to slaughter any intruder. Lin Moyu said to Little Tree, bring him out, lock him down. If he couldn't lock on, Little Tree could. Even though not fully recovered, he was once a peer of Supremes, his soul was their equal. With his help, targeting the Supreme's clone wouldn't be a problem. All right. Little tree had been waiting. Roots stretched through the void, stabbing into the blue rain's source, tearing through layers of blue light. The blue light tried to freeze the roots, but little tree's space-time power kept the roots shifting between places. What looked here was not really here. Any root the blue light froze was only an illusion. Roots thrashed the blue light, lashing in the air. The two fought for supremacy. Each blue strand was a manifestation of the Supreme's clone, each containing a thread of soul. Little tree's goal: shatter those blue lights, force the Supreme to manifest once more. Lin Moyu flicked a finger, sending world-annihilating fire into the sky, a sea of flames. These flames burned the soul and gave Little Tree the edge. Together, they shattered the blue lights, strands of soul reassembled into the blue-robed figure. Got him! As soon as he reappeared, Little Tree shouted in excitement. Lin Moyu wasted no time, aiming and crying, "Corpse explosion!" Boom! The blue-robed figure exploded, most of his body destroyed, and his soul badly damaged. Supreme clones were indeed tougher than quasi-supremes. One corpse explosion wasn't enough to finish him. But no matter, Lin Moyu used another. This time, the Supreme's clone couldn't resist and was utterly annihilated. With the blue light gone, a blue crystal appeared in midair. Ultimate blue crystal. Lin Moyu snatched it up, an exceptional treasure, the material used by the North Pole Supreme to forge his clone. No match for ancient ice, but still a top-tier resource. With the three clones destroyed, Lin Moyu could finally examine the place. This enormous space resembled an entire independent world, perhaps much like the Chaos Spirit's inner world, with its own rules and also those of Chaos. It was isolated from Chaos, not a full separation, but a relative one. In the distance, mists rose, a palace began to take shape. Chapter 4527, Chapter 4527, The Ultimate Temptation. Chapter 4527, The Ultimate Temptation. Lin Moyu flew over and entered the mist, seeing the palace inside. He showed astonishment in his eyes. Why does this palace look so familiar, as if I've seen it somewhere before? Chaos Spirit said, that's because its appearance changes, it looks like whatever kind of palace you've seen. To me, it's an enormous pearl. Little Tree said, everyone sees it differently. To me, it's a locked garden full of Chaos God Kings. So it changes shape for each person. The palace looks different depending on who's looking. To Lin Moyu, it was a palace, but he'd seen many places and landscapes, so why did it appear as a palace now? Its shape felt familiar and casual, as if seen before but also not. He searched his memory but couldn't remember where. In front of the palace was a large door. When his attention focused on it, the door grew huge, filling his entire vision. At this moment, the palace itself ceased to matter. The only thing that mattered was the door. Open it. You must open it. Inside is everything you want. As long as you open it, you'll get anything you desire. Countless thoughts rose in his mind, all converging into this one: open the door at any cost, no matter the effort, even if it meant death. His soul didn't warn him, but Lin Moyu realized something was wrong. He shuddered himself awake. The urge to open the door was so natural, which made it feel unnatural. He shouldn't desire with such abandon. How could it be worth staking his life on opening the door? Yet he had really thought that way. He recalled Little Tree's words, anybody who comes here is driven to open the door at all costs. This must be the reason. The door itself has a special power, it alters thoughts, making opening it the paramount need, above life. This influence is far stronger than the quiet spirit pearl, not a subtle nudge, but almost direct mind control. Suddenly, Chaos Spirit automatically flew toward the door, slamming into it with a heavy thud, bouncing off but immediately trying again. Lin Moyu grabbed him. What are you doing? Chaos Spirit struggled. Let me go, I must break it open. You won't break it open, Lin Moyu replied. Chaos Spirit shouted, I don't believe it. Let me try. Lin Moyu had no choice but to capture Chaos Spirit in his soul world and restrict his freedom. Chaos Spirit wailed in protest, but Lin Moyu barricaded him with a cage of soul power without Lin Moyu's permission. He could not leave. A drop of purified water flew out, turning into a waterfall that doused Chaos Spirit, calming him down. Thunderous crashes sounded hundreds in an instant. Countless tree roots crazily pounded the door as if trying to smash it to bits. As soon as Chaos Spirit finished his frenzy, Little Tree followed, leaving Lin Moyu clutching his head, helpless. Before he could subdue Little Tree, Yanjian and Space-Time Soul Serpent also charged at the door regardless of what they saw. They all attempted to force the door open, using the utmost of their strength. They were easier to handle. He recalled them to his soul world, and poured purifying water on Little Tree, finally quieting him down. Little Tree, shaken, murmured, "Too terrifying, so those old beings were like this." Chaos Spirit recovered, "That must be it. I had only heard they went mad, but never thought it would be like this." Lin Moyu asked, "What did you feel just now?" Little Tree thought and shook his head, "Can't really remember, just that I had a thought. I absolutely had to open that door. What was behind it was more important than life." Chaos Spirit said, "I saw an independent world behind the door. If I could refine it, I might be able to create a second chaos. No, a third chaos. Even Lin Moyu's storage space counted as a second. It seemed everyone perceived what they most deeply desired. This door was truly extraordinary, capable of swaying even revivers. I wonder if undead servants would be affected." Lin Moyu sent out an undead servant, letting it face the heavenly gate. After some time, the undead showed no reaction. He confirmed that undead were immune. Only intelligent beings with self-derived thought fell under its influence. No wonder the blue-robed man sat with his back to the door, avoiding its gaze. Little Tree said, "Master, try using the ice crystal, it might open the door." Lin Moyu nodded, "Okay." He took out the ice crystal. At once, the gate shone, light falling onto the crystal, which flew automatically toward the gate. It worked. Lin Moyu rejoiced. Though he was struggling against the urge, he still greatly wished to open the door. The crystal's effect made him happy. The ice crystal reached the gate and merged with it. With a soft sound, the gate opened a small crack enough for only Lin Moyu. A peculiar aura burst from beyond the door, and Lin Moyu's suppressed desire surged again. Its attraction skyrocketed. He felt compelled to rush in, but fiercely restrained himself, remaining motionless in the void. He also broke the soul world's connection to the outside, so Little Tree and Chaos Spirit couldn't witness any changes, keeping them stable. The door only opened a slit just wide enough for Lin Moyu alone. He approached, peering through, but could see nothing inside. Instead of entering, he sent an undead servant ahead. As soon as it entered, he lost contact. No death, just lost connection. This had only ever happened at low cultivation levels. Since becoming chaotic, he had always maintained strong links with his undead, no matter the distance. For contact to break now meant the realm behind the door was truly extraordinary. Could it really be another chaos? Lin Moyu reached for the door. His soul gave no warning, so he finally stepped through. He had come this far and opened the door. There was no turning back. After he entered, the door closed. A day later, a blue figure appeared before the door. The North Pole Supreme, dressed in blue, looked grim and dark. Someone got in. How did they get in? Who was it? Time reversal. He reversed time, but Little Tree had already wiped all spatial traces, so nothing could be discerned. The North Pole Supreme's expression grew even more sour. Chapter 4528, Chapter 4528, One of the Origins of Life. Chapter 4528, One of the Origins of Life. A strange space. Its unfamiliarity stemmed from its laws, rules, and aura. Lin Moyu realized, just as expected, this was an independent world. It was not a second chaos, but truly independent from the chaos. Unlike chaos, it wasn't so vast Lin Moyu could see its edge at a glance. It was even smaller than Chaos Spirit's inner world, yet its laws, its great Dao, and its aura were entirely unique. The undead servant that entered earlier was waiting at the boundary, nothing dangerous had happened to it, and upon Lin Moyu's arrival, contact was restored. This place is completely isolated from the outside. I can no longer sense Supreme Calamity's formations. If the outside of the gate merely isolates from a Supreme, Dao can still investigate. But this gate isolates even from Dao. But somehow, this place still has a connection to chaos. What exactly is it? Interesting. Lin Moyu carefully sensed everything around him. He was 80% sure that no one had ever been here and he was the first. The environment was uncommonly pristine. He felt no trace of living creatures. He surveyed the area. Nearby, hundreds of materials floated, over 1,000 pieces in total. He had never seen any of them before, but they looked extraordinary. These 1,000+ materials, of different sizes, spun slowly and uniformly around the same center point. The scene resembled a planetary system, with planets orbiting a star. Looking at the center, Lin Moyu saw a mass of energy, something inside it swirling, but unidentifiable from outside. He was about to inspect it when voices called out from his soul. Little Tree and Chaos Spirit reminded him that his soul world was still sealed, and they couldn't see anything. He lifted the seal, and Chaos Spirit immediately exclaimed, "Wow, amazing stuff! Do you recognize it?" Lin Moyu asked. Chaos Spirit laughed, "Not all of it, but I know most. A lot of old friends." "Old friends?" Little Tree explained, "Back in the primordial days, a whole group of beings were born like us, some with their core based on some primordial spiritual material. For example, the ancient cold beast or the disorder spirit pearl. Only a few lacked a specific origin." Lin Moyu's heart stirred. So these materials are the original bodies? Little Tree shook his head. "No, these are just the materials, they were not given birth by heaven and earth." Chaos Spirit interjected, "But before those entities were born, they looked like this. Take that ancient ice, for instance, it's even bigger than yours." Looking in the direction indicated, Lin Moyu saw a piece of ancient ice. From afar it seemed small, but it was in fact gigantic, compressed by some kind of force. The ancient ice continent that Lin Moyu possessed, if compressed, might be fist-sized, but this one was at least 10 times larger. According to Chaos Spirit, the ancient cold beast's body was once this size, but later shattered. The two chattered about the materials and their histories, noting which had become powerful beings. With no Dao to spy on them here, they were free to converse openly. Piecing together what he heard, Lin Moyu deduced a possibility. At the dawn of time, many materials left this place and entered chaos. Back then, chaos was nurturing living beings, filled with primordial energy. These materials absorbed the primordial energy, found themselves in chaos, and gradually became the strongest ancient living beings. The ancient cold beast came from here, possessing the very ice crystal that serves as the key to this place. But since the ice crystal itself became a sentient being, its function as a key was temporarily lost. Nonetheless, the beast still wants to return. That longing is a deep, primal impulse. So, this location is truly one of the origins of countless life-world beings in the chaos. Reflecting on his own experience, Lin Moyu surmised even better possibilities. Each primordial being's body came from here, while the primordial energy came from the deepest ancient wilderness. Combined, they created the initial landscape of the chaos. It's like Lin Moyu's storage space now, filled with primordial energy but lacking any material. The energy incubates many souls, but without a material body, they aren't like the ancient beings of chaos. He hadn't understood this before. Now he knew, his storage space lacked these top-level materials. If it had them, they could become strong vital bodies, making it even richer. Having understood, Lin Moyu resolved to collect the materials. He flew to the nearest one, heaven red stone, a material that once gave rise to a powerful beast. Bang! Without warning, Lin Moyu crashed into an invisible wall. Fortunately, he wasn't flying fast, or he'd have been flung hard. The wall was invisible but tangible, totally transparent. He knocked on it, it was sturdy. He summoned fire, it vanished instantly upon contact, unable to persist. That fire bore a thread of great Dao power, its inability to linger meant great Dao power could not remain on the wall. This place is utterly detached from chaos, external great Dao cannot be used, only internal strength. Using his power, Lin Moyu discovered even his undying Dao was affected, something that had never happened, not in any isolated space, ancient formation, chaos spirit's inner world, or his own storage. The undying Dao always worked, it was ingrained in his very being. Here, every great Dao was diminished, yielding only a tenth of their usual power. The undying Dao was a bit better, but still only half as effective. He cast the power of death like a net onto the wall, trying to dissolve it, no effect at all. With the final attempt, he brought out the Heaven and Earth Mother Water. Its dissolving ability was even greater, but here, it too was hampered, quickly sliding off with no effect. Chaos Spirit tried purified water, dousing the wall, it didn't react. This totally see-through wall barred all passage. Lin Moyu sent out masses of undead, flying around the perimeter, missing no spot, searching for flaws. But after circling the space in all directions, nothing was found. Little Tree tried his space-time powers, usually unfailing, but here, they too were useless. Left with no options, Lin Moyu simply tried smashing it with his fist. Chapter 4529, Chapter 4529, The Unbreakable Wall. Chapter 4529, The Unbreakable Wall. There was a continuous sound of pounding, but this completely transparent, invisible wall of unknown thickness did not react at all under Lin Moyu's frenzied attacks. After a while, Lin Moyu had no choice but to give up, it simply could not be broken, no matter how hard he punched. Little Tree and Chaos Spirit both tried various methods as well, to the same effect. Lin Moyu also used the world annihilating fire and other means, but still failed to break through this invisible wall. The wall was impervious, standing firm and refusing entry to anyone. With all other methods failing, Lin Moyu had to try his two trump cards, the causal ring and the Calamity Scepter. He infused his soul power into the causal ring. If there's effect without cause, I want to break through this wall. The causal ring shone, but there was no backlash. After a moment, its glow faded away as if nothing had happened. Lin Moyu realized he had planted a fruit for nothing. The causal ring had failed, something that had never happened before. He had always assumed even if it cost hundreds or thousands of deaths, he would ultimately succeed and use the opportunity to strengthen his own body and soul. He had never thought actual failure was possible. This meant the wall's existence was independent of causality. Once more, he surged his soul power, this time planting a fruit to obtain the nearest heaven red stone. But after glowing for a dozen seconds, the ring dimmed again, a second failure. Amazed and shocked, Lin Moyu examined the causal ring and found that even it was impacted in this place, unable to use its full strength. The ring's power came from Chaos's causal Dao, but as its main body surpassed the causal Dao, it could enact miracles in chaos. Here, outside of chaos, its influence was severely diminished. Lin Moyu reasoned, maybe the ring's true body was originally from here. Looking at the ring, he thought it quite likely. But after leaving here, it had been transformed by the chaos, just like the ice crystal, and so its connection to this place was weak. With the causal ring useless, only the Calamity Scepter was left. The Calamity Scepter was extraordinarily tough, effective for breaking anything physical or spiritual. Yet Lin Moyu still wasn't confident, he could only give it a try. He raised the Calamity Scepter and struck down hard. Boom! With an immense noise, the invisible wall suddenly became visible, and a tremendous force rebounded through the scepter, sending Lin Moyu flying. Cracks covered his hand, and then the flesh burst apart, his bones shattering to bits. The recoil shattered his hand, spreading up his arm, then destroyed half his body, flesh and blood flying everywhere. But for Lin Moyu, this was trivial. He had been smashed to bits countless times, losing half his body was nothing special. He willed the undying fire to blaze, golden radiance surged, and his fragmented flesh flew back to him, rapidly rebuilding his body. With a gesture, the Calamity Scepter flew back to his hand. Even my body couldn't withstand the rebound. This force is unusual. Looking at the invisible wall, under the scepter's blow, it briefly became visible like a crystal, thin as a membrane, a gigantic sphere guarding the area, unbreakable. But even the Calamity Scepter had left it unharmed. The wall vanished again, invisible but untouchable. He could accept the causal ring's failure, but that the Calamity Scepter also failed was hard to stomach. In Calamity Supreme's description, the scepter was 5th-tier power among the highest in all the desolate chaos. Lin Moyu had once thought that if the ice crystal couldn't open the gate, he'd smash his way in with the scepter. Now he realized he'd been wrong. He'd underestimated this place's mystery. The crystal-like wall here could not be broken even with the scepter. Furthermore, most of the power he unleashed had rebounded through the scepter, causing him to lose half his body. He returned before the wall and knocked it lightly with the scepter this time, using no force, making a clear, crisp sound. With each tap, Lin Moyu felt the feedback recoil through the scepter. At least 90% of his strength was returned each time. Gradually, he increased the force, up to his limit. No effect, and the wall didn't even appear any longer. He realized only when enough force was used did the wall display itself, but it still couldn't be broken. Suddenly, an annoyed voice came from the scepter. "Stop knocking, it's annoying. Can't you let someone sleep?" The central primal gem glimmered. The voice was coming from it. Each of the 5 gems had some consciousness, but only this last primal gem could speak. Lin Moyu said, "I'm conducting an experiment. Didn't expect there'd be anything you can't break." The primal gem retorted, "You're useless. Don't blame me." Lin Moyu replied, "How am I useless? I just smashed it with all my strength, but it didn't break. I'll try again to prove it." The primal gem snorted, "No need to try, this is the wall of heaven and earth. At your current level, breaking it is a pipe dream." Lin Moyu asked, "What is the wall of heaven and earth? How strong do I have to be to smash it?" The primal gem said, "When you surpass the supreme level, then you can break it." "And why break it anyway? Did it offend you?" Lin Moyu said, "It didn't, I just want what's inside." The primal gem gave a sly chuckle, "People die for wealth and birds for food. Why are you so desperate?" Lin Moyu pressed, "Be clear for once." The primal gem said, "If you want to know what's behind the wall, just remember, the instant you smash it, you will die. I won't bother explaining further. Just know, right now you're not qualified, nor do you deserve what's inside." Lin Moyu believed the primal gem, even if its speech was unpleasant. It never lied. He thought for a moment. A long time ago, many things emerged from inside to enter chaos. How do you explain that? The primal gem replied, "That's simple, then was then, now is now. Back then, heaven and earth wanted to birth new beings, so it spit out all the primordial treasures from inside. Now, with no new beings to birth, it doesn't release anything." Lin Moyu asked, "But what if heaven and earth need to nurture life again?" Chapter 4530, Chapter 4530, The Only Heaven and Earth? Chapter 4530, The Only Heaven and Earth? Upon hearing Lin Moyu's words, the primal gem immediately let out a series of mocking laughs. "Are you kidding? How could heaven and earth nurture life a second time? That opportunity comes only once, never a second time. Even if heaven and earth wanted to, where would you get primordial energy? And heaven and earth won't even have that thought. It doesn't have consciousness, only rules. If heaven and earth had a master, maybe that could be considered, but only as a thought. Don't talk nonsense about things you don't understand. People will laugh at you." Lin Moyu ignored the mockery. He'd asked deliberately, just to extract some information from the primal gem, which knew much, but rarely spoke and spent most of its time dormant. If Lin Moyu hadn't used all his strength to strike the wall of heaven and earth, the primal gem would never have woken up, let alone responded. Lin Moyu said, I didn't mean here my own space is filled with primordial energy and nurturing life. They're all rootless spirits, but now there are materials here, so I was thinking of using those to let my heaven and earth nurture some beings with true bodies. What? The primal gem yelled. A small figure appeared atop the gem, staring at Lin Moyu in shock. He obviously didn't believe it, his face full of surprise. How can you have primordial energy? That's impossible, impossible. Let me take a look. Lin Moyu smiled slightly and opened his storage space, sending the Calamity Scepter inside. From within came the primal gem's amazed voice, it really is primordial energy. So much. Lin Moyu let him look for a while, then took him out again. No matter what, the Calamity Scepter was under his control. Unless Lin Moyu wished it, the primal gem couldn't enter. Back outside, the little figure conjured by the primal gem was still astonished. You actually possess a heaven and earth. Although it's weak, it's true heaven and earth. He marveled for a while, then floated in front of Lin Moyu, complicated amazement in his gaze. Who are you, really? How do you have heaven and earth? That's not normal. Lin Moyu asked. Could you explain in detail? The primal gem hesitated but finally relented. Fine, since you ask so earnestly, I'll take pity and tell you. The desolate chaos is a whole, belonging to a single heaven and earth. Now there is only this one. When heaven and earth is born, primordial energy arises, it can nurture living beings. If there are no corresponding heaven and earth materials, only rootless spirits are born, with no true bodies. Such heaven and earth is incomplete, it will not create all kinds of materials or beings, and its great Dao is singular. This is called dead heaven and earth. If it has heaven and earth materials, and they fuse with primordial energy, each material's attribute can produce a separate great Dao, perfecting heaven and earth. This is called living heaven and earth. Dead heaven, living heaven. What the primal gem said completely transcended the scope of desolate chaos. He was describing a higher, more profound reality. Lin Moyu asked, so there used to be many heavens and earths? Of course, but you said used to. There were, but not anymore. All those dead and living heavens are gone. This desolate chaos is the last, the only one. Then, the primal gem suddenly corrected itself. No. Now it's not the only one. You also have a heaven and earth, still lifeless for now, but maybe someday it will become living heaven and earth. Lin Moyu said, if I take a realm from chaos and put it inside, can that make it a living heaven? The primal gem rejected the idea outright. No. Only heaven and earth materials can do it. What are heaven and earth materials? They're things that can fuse with primordial energy, evolve great Dao, and birth living beings. Even after death, their power continues. The primal gem explained at length. Since going into the storage space, its attitude softened. It was less arrogant and actually willing to elaborate. From this, Lin Moyu finally understood his prior understanding had been backward. At the start, heaven and earth had no great Dao, only primordial energy, one of the roots of all things. When primordial energy met heaven and earth material, they fused, and each material's property would give birth to new beings. These beings are the great Dao, they can be seen as the personification of the Dao. When they matured, their respective great Dao also matured. Their extinction did not harm the Dao but actually helped it after death. Their essence merges into the Dao, creating new materials, which circulate endlessly. Desolate chaos had once nurtured countless beings, leading to countless great Dao and a living, eternal heaven and earth. Eventually, desolate chaos spawned infinite materials and beings, making everything flourish forever. So that's how it is. Lin Moyu's world became much clearer. Probably only the primal gem knew these truths. Now, Little Tree, Chaos Spirit, and Xiao Peng also knew. Silently, they listened knowledge that might prove vital in the future. Lin Moyu asked, since realms from chaos can't make my heaven and earth living, only materials from behind the wall can. Is there any way to obtain them? The primal gem sneered, wishful thinking. Do you even know where this is? He'd asked before and never received an answer, but now wasn't the time to press. Lin Moyu feigned humility, please teach me. The primal gem said, the wall of heaven and earth pertains to every heaven and earth. Whether a heaven and earth becomes living depends on whether it was given heaven and earth materials at the start of its evolution. If not, then it's dead heaven and earth. If it is, then it has a chance to become living heaven and earth. Long ago, a supreme tried to claim its materials, but even they had to give up, unable to break the wall. Of course, it's not absolutely unbreakable if you surpass heaven and earth and become a supreme, and use my full power, then you might break the wall. But by then, you won't need these materials, because you'll already rule desolate chaos. It's truly odd. Someone like you, possessing a heaven and earth. I've never seen it before. In the past, all supremes came from inside a heaven and earth and only gained control after surpassing it. You're an anomaly. Chapter 4531, Chapter 4531, For the sake of you being my master. Chapter 4531, For the sake of you being my master. What happened to Lin Moyu completely overturned the primal gem's understanding. The reason for its arrogance was thinking itself omniscient, understanding the fundamental laws and history of all heavens and earth. But the heaven and earth owned by Lin Moyu shattered that conceit. Lin Moyu said, so is there any way to make my heaven and earth a living heaven? No way. The primal gem denied flatly, not a single method. Lin Moyu sighed, even you can't do it. Seems it can't be done after all. I always thought the Calamity Scepter was omnipotent. The primal gem's face darkened, feeling insulted. What do you mean I can't? If you were a supreme, of course you could break the wall. Lin Moyu said, but if I became a supreme, why would I still want these primordial materials? Wouldn't I have my own heaven and earth by then? The primal gem was momentarily at a loss. A taste of its own logic turned against itself. Lin Moyu continued, so there really is no way. Those heaven and earth materials can only be looked at and never acquired. Pity, I once believed that as long as you were present, nothing was unbreakable. Forget it. Consider this trip wasted. Lin Moyu watched the heaven and earth materials inside the barrier, disappointment all over his face, not just at his own loss, but also at the Calamity Scepter. As the primal gem saw Lin Moyu's expression, it looked as if it had lost face too and suddenly said, if you actually get a piece of heaven and earth material, it's not entirely impossible. Lin Moyu's heart leapt, but his face remained calm. Even if it's possible, it sounds difficult. The primal gem replied, it is difficult, but you can try. First, you need to go to the ancient wilderness to find the ancient wilderness wrought spirit. Chaos and the wilderness are two sides of the same heaven and earth. Chaos is yang, the wilderness is yin. The ancient wilderness wrought spirit is the ultimate corruptive force of this heaven and earth. It can't break the wall, but it can soften it. Once the wall is softened, I'll try to make a tiny hole, then you send primordial energy inside. With luck, your primordial energy will resonate with the world wall and it'll actively send some heaven and earth materials into your world. That is the only method worth trying. Nowadays, with all other heavens perished, only this one remains, and after delivering the last wave of materials, the wall has sealed itself, never to give again. Whether it can be awakened depends on your luck. But the ancient wilderness wrought spirit isn't easy to find and the process is dangerous, so be careful. Lin Moyu asked, what does the wrought spirit look like? The primal gem then detailed the nature of the ancient wilderness wrought spirit. It has no fixed form, its true name is wrought spirit, but it's called ancient wilderness wrought spirit because it was born in the ancient wilderness. In other heavens, It have another name. The wrought spirit is similar to a primordial material, the ultimate force of decay in a heaven and earth capable of corroding anything inside, including artifacts, souls, and more. Unlike the heaven-earth jellyfish, which dissolves by destroying structure, while also bearing a trace of life and being able to nurture living things, the wrought spirit is pure death, no trace of life at all. Even a supreme could perish if infected by wrought spirit unless they surpass the heaven and earth, they can't resist it. Yet even such a terrifying thing can only soften the wall, needing the Calamity Scepter's help to make a pinhole. With the method revealed, Lin Moyu resolved to set out for the ancient wilderness to seek the wrought spirit. Since he remained within this heaven and earth, he trusted he could find it, because he possessed the causal ring. The primal gem said, "Since you are my master, I'll help you again." At those proud words, the primal gem glowed, and the realm gem began to shine too. The primal gem manipulated the realm gem's power, forming two sigils. One flew into Lin Moyu's hand, the other lodged in the wall of the world. With this sigil, wherever you are, you can open a passage to this place but only once, so use it wisely. And when you leave this place, you'll be teleported to a random part of the world. Your destination depends on luck. Good luck. Despite being Lin Moyu's artifact, the primal gem spoke and acted with arrogance, but Lin Moyu didn't mind, as long as the thing listened and stayed in his control, he had no complaints. Lin Moyu gave one last regretful look at the abundant, tempting heaven and earth materials behind the barrier before leaving. But he knew he couldn't obtain them now. He could only follow the primal gem's method to seize even a sliver of hope for making his heaven living. He vaguely sensed that once his world became living, he himself would benefit immensely. At the very least, when facing the Dao, even if overpowered, he'd at least have a way of escape. His safety would rise dramatically, giving him a built-in fallback before battle. Just as he'd always prepared before any fight, he put his wives in storage space, so if he died, they'd survive. Lin Moyu flew toward the exit, a space-time tunnel leading to an unknown destination. Just as he neared the exit, Little Tree suddenly called, "Master, wait." Lin Moyu stopped. "What is it?" Little Tree said, "I sense many remnants of space-time tunnels here." Lin Moyu realized what this meant. Perhaps many heavens existed in the past, and these are traces left by their supremes. He did not know how many heavens there were, only that, as the primal gem said, many. In some, supremes had emerged and reached this place, leaving space-time tunnels as they did. Those supremes must have coveted the materials behind the world wall, but none ever succeeded. There were only two ways to enter this place: pass through a door left in the wall either with a key or by brute force after becoming a supreme. Most supremes burst through by force. They were powerful, proud, and had their own ways of doing things. As for legends in chaos, that coming here brought great fortune, Lin Moyu alone knew the truth. There was no treasure here. If there was any value, it was merely to gain insight, to glimpse the primal materials and then drool over them. Little Tree said, "I wonder, can these space-time tunnels be restored?" Restore the tunnels? Lin Moyu was surprised. This was a bold idea. If the tunnels could be restored, could that mean traveling to other heavens? But those heavens no longer existed. Where would the tunnels go? And what dangers might lie ahead? Lin Moyu said, "Try it. I'll ask the primal gem." Chapter 4532, Chapter 4532, Is there truly such a thing as transcendence? Chapter 4532, Is there truly such a thing as transcendence? Little Tree acted upon his sudden inspiration, stretching out thousands of roots to reach the remnants of ancient space-time tunnels and carefully sense the lingering information from long ago. These space-time tunnels were so ancient their origins were untraceable, and Little Tree had no confidence he could succeed, only trying each one in turn. Every time space tunnel remnant represented an existence that had surpassed heaven and earth as supreme. Some may have already mastered heaven and earth, some may not, but they had all made it here an undeniable fact. It could be said they had probed the final ultimate secrets of heaven and earth. They must have sought something by coming here, but what they wanted was already buried by time. Lin Moyu approached the primal gem again. There are many traces of old time-space tunnels here. The primal gem, now treating Lin Moyu better than before but still arrogant, replied, "Yes, a lot of people have come here in the past." Lin Moyu promptly asked, "Where are they now?" The primal gem said, "They're all dead. Heaven and earth no longer exist, so how could these people be still alive?" Lin Moyu's heart trembled slightly, but didn't these supreme beings already transcend heaven and earth? In his understanding, once one transcended heaven and earth, even if heaven and earth were destroyed, such ones wouldn't die, they'd be beyond it all, untouched by its fate. His words made the primal gem snicker. "My master, do you even know what transcendence means?" Lin Moyu wasn't offended, he wanted to draw out more information, tamping down any annoyance. "Well, you tell me." The primal gem chuckled, "Since you're asking so sincerely, I'll tell you, no living being is ever truly outside of heaven and earth, not really. Even if they become supremes, master the heavens, and think themselves detached, when the heavens die, they will realize there is no true transcendence. When the heavens perish, so do they. And the reverse is true, when they become one with heaven and earth, if they die, heaven and earth will pass away with them." Lin Moyu understood the point. Just like perfection realm beings possess domain worlds, when they die, domains collapse. If the domain collapses, they usually die too, exceptions being rare. When this rule is magnified to the scale of the entire heaven and earth, they and supreme beings are bound together, living and dying as one. Lin Moyu asked, "No exceptions?" The primal gem shook its head, "No exceptions. There used to be so many supremes, and so many heavens, but they're all gone now. Who knows what happened?" Lin Moyu tentatively asked, "Why did they die?" The primal gem said, "It seems they wanted something, but I'm not sure what. In the end, people die for treasure and birds for food. This principle holds everywhere, at every level, no matter how high you go, you can't escape it." Lin Moyu felt a faint sadness. If even all those supremes died, what was the point of cultivating at all? Was it for something that could truly allow escape? In chaos, many top beings fell for a single flower, trying to break past chaos itself. Having done so, they still perished for something further. It felt as if the rules of existence and fate had never changed from tiny worlds to all of heaven and earth. The iron law remained. Was it possible to break this law? Lin Moyu resolved to try. Having coaxed out some information, Lin Moyu switched topics. "One more thing. After these heavens collapse, what do they become?" The primal gem laughed, a bit chillingly. "That tree wants to restore the time-space tunnels, right? After a heaven collapses, what's left are its ruins. What those ruins look like, nobody can say. Every heaven is different." Lin Moyu admitted frankly, "Is it dangerous in there?" The primal gem said, "Maybe only by going in will you know." "Are you thinking of going in?" Lin Moyu nodded, "I want to see." The primal gem said, "Go take a look. It's no big deal if you die in there. Actually, it's nothing." Lin Moyu was speechless. No big deal if you die. If he died in another heaven, would the primal gem perish too? The primal gem read his thoughts. "Don't look at me like that, master. If you really died there, nothing would happen to me. I'm fine wherever I am." "Just what kind of artifact is this? Who's the real master?" Lin Moyu wanted to curse, but held back, remembering the help he'd gotten from the gem before. Still, he was frustrated. After acquiring the primal gem, the Calamity Scepter never really felt like it was his anymore. Lin Moyu asked, "Which heaven are you from?" He suspected the Calamity Scepter must have belonged to some supreme from another heaven, surely not from the current chaos, as no such figure existed here. The primal gem giggled, "Can you guess, master?" "Guess? Yeah, right." Lin Moyu snorted, "You probably don't know yourself." Clap. The primal gem clapped its tiny hands, "Right, You guessed it, I really don't know. Lin Moyu was even more exasperated. He could see the primal gem was telling the truth, it genuinely didn't know its own origins. Still, this didn't diminish its arrogance, it remained haughty, never seeing anything as worthy. While Little Tree continued investigating the time-space tunnels, Lin Moyu pressed on with more questions. So what are you actually good for? He already knew the use of the other 4 gems, soul, balance, element all had been put to work. The realm gem had yet to be used, but Lin Moyu could guess it would be useful in the future. But the primal gem, the most unique of the 5 possessing true intelligence, he had no idea what it was actually for. From its power to command the other gems, he figured the primal gem had to be the Calamity Scepter's core, akin to an artifact's soul. The primal gem smiled, I'm extremely useful, but I can't say exactly how. Lin Moyu didn't buy it. You won't say? Or you just don't know at all? The primal gem glared, you may be my master, but I could still get mad and turn on you. But the threat sounded weak, almost embarrassed, so unlike before. From his reaction, Lin Moyu knew he was right. The primal gem didn't know its own origin or true use. Lin Moyu thought it over, then pressed quietly, as your master, I have the right to know what are your real abilities. Chapter 4533, Chapter 4533, Rebuilding Spacetime Passages. Chapter 4533, Rebuilding Spacetime Passages. Lin Moyu was, after all, the master. When he got serious, the primal gem grew more obedient. But the primal gem struggled, its little face twisting up before finally admitting hesitantly, I can help you better control the Calamity Scepter and fully unleash its power. But that depends on your level of power. If your power isn't enough, you can't activate the scepter's full strength. Part of my own ability is also sealed, requiring some special conditions to unseal. Finally, it started talking sense. Lin Moyu knew if he set proper rules, the primal gem would behave, at least around him, if not always in general. He pressed further, what strength must I reach to truly use the Calamity Scepter's full power, and what special conditions can unseal your ability? The primal gem replied, it's not about rank, it's about pure power. If you had to measure it with realms, you'd need to be at least a supreme to activate some of the scepter's power. To release its entire power, you must surpass the supreme on the level of pure strength. As for unsealing my ability, I'm not clear on what exact conditions are needed, you'll have to discover them for yourself, but they likely relate to strength as well. It comes down to power, not just level, but raw strength, both physical and spiritual. These 2 forms of power are the purest, not relying on any Dao, any heaven or earth, just yourself. Rank means little in the face of true power. For example, with just minor attainment in the Chaos rank, Lin Moyu could finish off full Chaos rank experts and suppress ordinary perfected powerhouses. That's the power of pure strength, and after his rebirth, he had broken through to a new level of direct strength. This new level not only made him mighty, it had also triggered changes deep within the ancient wilderness, transforming his storage space into another heaven. All right, got it. Go rest for now, I'll call if I need you, Lin Moyu said. With a swish, the primal gem retreated. It seemed a bit upset, as though Lin Moyu's will had stifled its pride. That was just what Lin Moyu wanted to make clear who the real master was. How's it going, Little Tree? Little Tree was still busy, with tens of thousands of roots probing the void, digging out each remnant left by the old space-time passages. A sweep across the area revealed 68 traces in total, scattered like stars across the void. 68 meant 68 Supremes, the actual number was surely greater, but only these left marks behind. Little Tree said, almost there, just need one more step to see if I can rebuild a passage. Professional matters belonged to professionals, so Lin Moyu didn't interfere. You all heard what was said. If you want to go, decide for yourselves. He hadn't kept the conversation with the primal gem secret from Little Tree, they'd all listened together. Little Tree said, I don't know if I should go, but I have a feeling I need to. Chaos Spirit added, I want to go, too. That's heaven and earth, no matter if it's just a corpse, there's always some good stuff. This grasping nature suited Chaos Spirit perfectly. Ultimately, the choice was Lin Moyu's, the others only advised. After a moment's thought, he said, if a passage can be rebuilt, let's check another heaven and earth. Maybe there really is something to gain. But before going, little tree, explore as much as you can to assess the danger. Will do, said little tree. Suddenly bang! A trace of space-time passage broke, turning to dust and disappearing. This meant little tree had failed to restore that channel, perhaps it was just too ancient, or perhaps the other side had changed. These marks were so old, older than the chaos wilderness itself, little tree could only attempt them with extreme caution. He searched for paths, then tried to rebuild them, but success wasn't guaranteed. Bang, bang, traces kept breaking, one after another, all failing. Soon, over half were lost, all attempts in vain. Little tree didn't get discouraged, he was steady, calmly continuing his efforts. Lin Moyu watched quietly, barely able to follow the flow of space-time energy at this level. The traces kept vanishing, soon fewer than 20 remained. At last, one gave off a faint glow, a space-time channel successfully rebuilt. Finally, one worked. Lin Moyu felt some joy, even one justified the effort. The success gave little tree confidence, he kept at it, though no other remnants succeeded until the very last, which worked too. So out of 68 ancient traces, only 2 passages were restored. It seemed a small number, but Lin Moyu was satisfied, with such ancient things, only little tree could manage even this. With the passages rebuilt, it was time for exploration. Little tree's roots became his eyes, tracing along the channels to their ends, another job only he could do. The 2 channels were not the same, one large, one small. The small entrance was round, about 5 meters in diameter, the larger was irregular, with the broadest part over 100 meters wide. The channel shapes reflected what had once come through, and little tree hadn't altered them, so the entering being's sizes had varied. I'm in. Little tree suddenly announced. His roots reached the ends of both channels, entering the remains of 2 heavens and earth. He grunted. A mass of roots retracted from the round channel, their ends cleanly severed as if by a sharp blade. Given little tree's current strength, only a perfected powerhouse with a sharp treasure could normally cut his roots. Did you encounter a living being? Lin Moyu asked. Little tree shook his head. I can't be sure, I saw no living things, just got cut as soon as I probed in. Chaos Spirit asked, no other information? Little tree shook his head again. No. It was too brief. I'll try again. He tried several more times. Each time, roots were cut instantly. It didn't much affect little tree, just hurt a bit, but he persisted, probing with different angles and rhythms. Finally, he learned something. The rules there differ from chaos. Once I entered, my power was fully suppressed, my very being altered. It's not sharpness on the other side, I became weaker there. And I still never saw anything alive, so I don't think the cut came from a living thing. That place is dangerous, extremely dangerous. Little tree described everything he sensed for Lin Moyu's reference. Compared to the dangerous circular passage, the large, irregular channel seemed fine. Little tree had transmitted an image of it back. Chapter 4534, Chapter 4534, Another Heaven and Earth. Chapter 4534, Another Heaven and Earth. In the image, there was a scene of desolation, not the void of chaos, but true ruin everywhere. Dust and ash covered everything, remnants of a former world, countless materials, the flesh and blood of mighty beings, and all matter reduced to this state. When this heaven and earth was torn apart, countless trillions of living beings inside perished instantly. All the treasures, the rare materials, all the things that beings used to fight and kill for even their fame and power were obliterated in a single moment. Suddenly, Tears welled up in Little Tree's eyes. Chaos Spirit asked, "What's wrong with you?" Little Tree whispered, "I feel a sorrow." Lin Moyu replied, "It should be the lament of heaven and earth." He was Little Tree's master, so whatever Little Tree felt, he could sense as well. Though he could not fully empathize, he understood Little Tree enough. Indeed, this world was saturated with sadness, the cry of a destroyed universe, and faint echoes of the wails of uncounted souls. Little Tree's body trembled, unable to bear the weight of despair. Not even after surviving the wildest wars and witnessing brutal death could he withstand the impact of a world's grief and the loss of all living things. The circular channel led to a dangerous universe. The irregular channel led only to distance. Lin Moyu made up his mind, "Little Tree, we're going to this sorrowful world. There's no need to explore the other." Little Tree nodded and stopped searching the dangerous one. His roots began regenerating quickly, soon restored. They took out the crossing Calamity boat and entered, flying into the channel. The journey through the space-time passage was both long and short. Time became chaotic, distorting perception. Little Tree withdrew his roots, no longer probing. The grief of this world was too much, and even he could not endure for long. Over time, he felt he might lose his mind and sink into sorrow for good. Lin Moyu understood that every emotion is a kind of power, and when taken to the extreme, it becomes terrifying. When sadness becomes ultimate, it can affect and even overwhelm others. Little Tree possessed tremendous willpower, but even so, he could barely withstand it. As for Lin Moyu, he trusted himself to cope. He saw extreme emotion as a whetstone to sharpen his own mental resolve, and believed it could temper his Dao heart. The crossing Calamity boat emerged from the channel. Strange energy entered, like a breeze swirling through every part of it. Instantly, the boat creaked and convulsed with strong vibrations. Lin Moyu quickly stowed the boat away. This was a different world, and the boat no longer conformed to its rules. Its defense now greatly weakened, no longer indestructible. The crossing Calamity boat belonged to the Chaos Wilderness, only within it was the boat truly indestructible. Rules of every world were all-powerful. Each world was unique. This held not only for the boat but for Lin Moyu as well. All his Daos vanished, he could not sense a single one. Throughout his path, Lin Moyu had dabbled in many Daos, even if often shallowly. Controlling fire, summoning rain, and so on were never a problem. Now, none of this worked. Different worlds, even those with similar Daos, have their own underlying laws. Chaotic Daos were useless here. If they worked, that would be the anomaly. Moreover, this world had been destroyed, and its law structures long since shattered, making them utterly inaccessible. What surprised Lin Moyu was that his undying Dao still worked. Though weakened, suppressed as it was at the world's barrier, it remained usable. So the undying Dao really is extraordinary. He did not react outwardly. Inside he was clear-headed. He had long known just how unique his undying Dao was, and that uniqueness persisted through his whole cultivation journey. Even now, in a new world, it continued to give him power. But compared to the undying Dao, his physical body and soul fared even better. Both body and soul retained all the power they held in the Chaos Wilderness. That was pure personal strength unbound by any world, simply absolute, not relative. This was exactly the pure strength the primal gem had spoken about. A world with no Daos and no laws gave Lin Moyu new insight into power itself. My power is mostly gone now. This is another world. Energy attributes are different. Here, our power is less than 30%. What a mournful world. I feel like crying. Stop crying, aren't you grown up? Crying is undignified. Chaos Spirit and Little Tree chatted while hiding in the soul world, unwilling to come out. This place was unfriendly, full of grief and danger. Better to hide, lest their Dao heart be damaged. Lin Moyu called forth undead servants and the space-time soul python. He found that storage space still worked here, and he could summon his undead legions. Their power, like the undying Dao, was halved. The space-time soul python had it worst here. Its strength was less than 1/5 of normal, only its physical power remained effective. Then came Xiao Peng. Upon appearing, he shrank rapidly, eventually becoming just palm-sized and unable to grow. The mighty golden-winged rock was now a golden-winged chick. Its power originated from its bloodline. Without it, Xiao Peng was reduced to one of Lin Moyu's 10 weakest summons. Perched on Lin Moyu's hand, Xiao Peng cried, "Father, it's so uncomfortable here." As he spoke, tears rolled uncontrollably down his face. Not only was his strength suppressed, but he was also affected by the world's soul-wrenching grief, causing sad memories and regrets to flood his mind, weakening his soul. A little longer and his Dao heart would have been at risk. Lin Moyu had only summoned Xiao Peng as a test. As expected, the restrictions and changes fitted his predictions. He returned Xiao Peng to the soul world and began to survey this ruined universe in earnest. The sadness of the universe and its living beings was everywhere, blending with the wind and the dust. Waves of energy rose from Lin Moyu and shielded him from the ash and dust, but could not block out the sorrow. His will was strong enough that though he did feel it, he could resist. At the end of the space-time tunnel, Lin Moyu left a marker, and then flew forward. Dense as fog, the dust obscured all vision. This dust might once have been priceless treasures, or the corpses of mighty cultivators, all now shattered along with this world. Always vigilant, Lin Moyu kept the eye of the undead open. Any danger could lurk in such an alien universe. It seemed endless. He flew for ages and still saw nothing but dust. Meanwhile, he had released a huge horde of undead, but they too found only endless dust. Time and space themselves felt warped here after the collapse. The world's fall had damaged them both. Lin Moyu couldn't even estimate how long he'd been here or how far he'd gone. Luckily, the marker he'd left remained visible, otherwise, he could have become lost. But just as he felt fortunate, the sense of connection to his marker suddenly broke. Chapter 4535, Chapter 4535, dying here would be the end of it. Chapter 4535, dying here would be the end of it. Whatever one fears comes to pass. Lin Moyu had a sinking feeling of bad luck. For no reason at all, his marker simply vanished, no warning, nothing unusual beforehand. Ever since entering this world, he had lost track of time, not knowing how much had passed, but up to now he hadn't encountered danger. He thought there would be no harm, yet suddenly, the marker was gone. This foreshadowed that danger was present. But where was it? He still couldn't tell. Suddenly, several undead servants disappeared. Just like with the marker, they vanished for no reason, without the slightest movement beforehand, just gone. He lost contact and found that their positions in the storage space were empty, meaning those undead servants were truly dead, with not even a chance of resurrection. Unnoticed, the danger had arrived. The most troublesome part was not knowing where it came from. With a thought, Lin Moyu summoned the Calamity Scepter to his hand. Here, whether it was the crossing Calamity boat or the causal ring, everything else had lost its function. The undead servants clearly couldn't resist the threat, so Lin Moyu's greatest reliance was, besides his own strength, the Calamity Scepter. Thankfully, the Calamity Scepter wasn't suppressed here. Its grade was exceptionally high after all. It was a tool that could punch holes in the wall of heaven and earth. By that standard, its grade was perhaps even higher than those Supremes. The primal gem lit up, manifesting a tiny figure. So you really did come pretty gutsy. Over time, the gem had regained its arrogant demeanor, forgetting who the master was. Lin Moyu didn't mind. There's danger in these heaven and earth ruins. The primal gem said, of course there's danger. Which heaven and earth ruins don't have danger, one way or another? Some dangers are obvious, some are hidden. The obvious ones are actually easier to deal with. Lin Moyu asked, so I picked the wrong world. The primal gem said, there's no right or wrong. Your cultivation is low, but in other worlds, realm is meaningless. Your power isn't weak, so maybe you can handle this danger. I remember that in the past, every Supreme would train their own team, specifically to search for treasures in the ruins of heaven and earth. Lin Moyu frowned. Why didn't you say so before? The primal gem snorted, you never asked, and I didn't think you'd really go. I thought you were joking. Lin Moyu, they went into the ruins to find what kind of treasures. Treasures from a different world were usually useless in another world no matter how great they were here, elsewhere they might be junk. The primal gem said, of course there are good things treasures that appear only in the ruins of heaven and earth. Since you know nothing, I'll explain. Every world has a central source called the heavenly origin. The primordial energy that emerges at the birth of a world, the heavenly origin energy comes from the heavenly origin core. After heaven and earth collapse, two situations occur. If a world is utterly destroyed, not even ruins remain, there's truly nothing left. But that's rare. More often, when a world falls apart, it leaves behind wreckage, filled with the grievances of countless dead beings, of the world itself, and of the Supreme who ruled it. Over many ages, these grudges condense and evolve into various dangers. Some dangers are blatant, the whole ruin is like a deadly zone, entering means facing danger every moment. Others are hidden on the surface, everything seems calm, but no one can predict when the threat will strike. It might be after ages, or the next second. In ruins with obvious dangers, the threats are dispersed and balanced. If you can block the danger, you're fine. But in ruins with hidden dangers, it's the opposite, the perils are concentrated and powerful, and their timing unpredictable. In this sense, hidden dangers are even trickier. The Supremes of old would organize their people to search ruined worlds for heavenly origin cores to strengthen their own worlds. They'd pay any price, even risk war with other Supremes for it. But that's all in the past. Now, all worlds are shattered. What's left are only ruins nowadays. There are only two worlds, the Chaos Wilderness where you live, and your own world. Lin Moyu asked, do you know why all the worlds ended? The primal gem was a little annoyed. Didn't you already ask that? I don't know. Lin Moyu pretended ignorance. Did I? I forgot. The primal gem snorted, well, forget it, but next time don't repeat yourself. Otherwise, you seem stupid. Now, just figure out how to find the heavenly origin core. Lin Moyu asked, and if I can't find it? The primal gem said, you'll be stuck here forever or maybe you'll die here, and that's that. Honestly, that's not so bad, better than endless fighting and killing outside. Lin Moyu was speechless. Can't you say something positive? The primal gem replied, just speaking the truth, there's nothing special about endless fighting and killing. But he didn't finish. Suddenly, a warning rippled through Lin Moyu's soul, causing him to retreat by instinct. He saw a grey beam descend from the sky, hitting the spot he'd just stood. The grey light appeared silently, then vanished without a trace, as though it was never there. At the sight of it, Lin Moyu felt a shudder in his soul. His instincts screamed that the grey beam was extremely dangerous. His marker and the undead must have been destroyed by it. There was a strange force in the grey beam, capable of annihilating everything. The primal gem said, see? That's one of the dangers, this slaughter light. It can erase anything, and whatever enters this world will be targeted and attacked. But it's impossible to say when it will attack. Lin Moyu said, if this is all, I can dodge it. The primal gem said, of course it's not all, this is just the beginning. There will be more, and slaughter light is just one danger. I can sense that while this world is destroyed, it still holds a lot of residual power. There will be more dangers. Other ruins may have turned entirely to dust, but this world once was very mighty. The Supreme who ruled here must have been truly fearsome. Be careful. Lin Moyu said quietly, got it. If the next attack comes, I'll use you as a shield. The primal gem was unconcerned. Fine by me, but you can't rely on me forever. What you really need is that heavenly origin core, otherwise you really can't leave. Lin Moyu's eyes brightened. You know how to find it. The primal gem laughed. If you sincerely ask, I'll tell you, actually, it's not hard to find. Chapter 4536, Chapter 4536, Little Soul, Come Out and Work. Chapter 4536, Little Soul, Come Out and Work. The heavenly origin core is the genesis source of an entire world, and its position never changes. It lies always at the center of each world. In the past, when a world was whole, its vastness made it nearly impossible to find the central point. It was like the chaos wilderness, nobody could ever really locate the center. But after a world collapses, the whole thing shrinks. Now it's even smaller than a major world, making it much easier to search. Now the only problem is endless dust. Dust obscures vision and weakens soul perception, so actually locating the core amid all this is still very hard. Searching inch by inch might take forever. The primal gem recommended a simple and effective method: use heavenly origin energy as a guide to search for the core. No matter how different a world's status or properties are, all heavenly origin cores share a deep, fundamental similarity. The origin energy will resonate with the core, helping to locate it. The primal gem said, that's how they did it before. You have origin energy, so you can do the same. Almost all the heavenly origin energy is spent at the birth of a universe. Yet some always remains in the core as the root of the world. When a supreme arises and gains dominion, that energy in the core can be drawn out. Then, by using it as a guide, people would search ruined worlds for more cores, trying to collect extra origin energy to strengthen their own world. This was the normal way. Lin Moyu wasn't a supreme, but his storage space was full of origin energy. He could use it freely. Lin Moyu asked, if I find a core, can I boost my own world's energy? The primal gem flatly denied it. No, you can't use it. Lin Moyu was surprised. Why? The primal gem replied, your world just awakened its own spring. The origin energy keeps growing. You're not even close to full, you don't need anything from outside. Also, your world, who knows if it's truly living or dead? If it's still dead, then extra origin energy is useless. A dead world can't last long, at most a billion years, then it will break apart completely. And there's another reason. Seeing the primal gem hesitate, Lin Moyu pressed him, what reason? The primal gem explained, you might not need the origin core, but we do. So. He meant the other 4 gemstones. The Calamity Scepter is home, the primal gem is the chief steward, each stone can live on its own or interact with the others. Lin Moyu said, no matter what, I still need to leave here. Whether useful or not, he had to find the core. Without it, he'd be trapped. Suddenly, Lin Moyu retreated another step as 2 grey beams fell before and behind him. His keen soul could sense the slaughter lights coming and dodged just in time. But this time, 2 came one after another, tracking his movements. The primal gem said, you're being targeted. The slaughter light will keep coming, and faster, though on its own it's not so bad. What you really have to worry about is what else might show up. Lin Moyu asked, such as? The primal gem answered, plenty. Slaughter light is just heaven and earth's and its creatures' killing intent. But all kinds of negative emotions, resentment, anger, pain can form resentment light, wrath light, pain light, etc. When a world collapses, its emotional energies peak and turn into all kinds of things. I actually hope a few special ones appear. It almost sounded like he was looking forward to it. While they talked, hundreds more undead servants were erased by slaughter light. Their ability to resurrect was useless here. Judging from their times of death, the frequency of slaughter light attacks truly was increasing. Lin Moyu wasted no more time, he released a strand of origin energy. At once, it shone faintly and streaked off into the distance, forming a bright line through the dust. He followed it. The origin energy wasn't fast and kept changing direction. Lin Moyu sensed it was resonating with something out there. The primal gem explained, when a universe is destroyed, its core leaks some origin energy. That's why there's always residue here. And these leftovers disrupt resonance, making the path go awry, but that's all right. Eventually you'll still find it. As they searched, the primal gem morphed into a tiny figure, darting about, eyes scanning for something. Lin Moyu had no idea what, so he didn't ask. Meanwhile, the origin energy he'd released was fading, the environment was wearing it down. At this rate, in half a day it would be gone entirely. Lin Moyu muttered, Supremes searching for cores is a gamble. Sometimes, they lose their origin energy and gain nothing. The primal gem agreed, exactly. It's a risk. When many teams search the same ruined world, there's often a fight, even a supreme level war. Lin Moyu asked, why didn't Supremes come themselves? The primal gem shook his head, they can't. They represent a whole world. If they enter another world, it will collapse. Supremes are so strong that if they force their way into a foreign world, that world will shatter. So they trained teams to search ruined worlds for them. There were many ruins, as so many dead worlds self-destructed and became fragments. Half a day later, the first strand of origin energy had all but faded, moving slowly. Lin Moyu released another, and continued searching. During that half a day, grey slaughter lights kept falling ever more often, ever more numerous, but Lin Moyu's keen soul allowed him to dodge every one. All undead servants had been recalled. Leaving them out now was pointless and fatal. The primal gem said, we're getting close. This ruined world wasn't big, so after half a day, they had to be near the target. Suddenly, a trace of rainbow light flashed before Lin Moyu. His mind shook, visions filled his senses. Not good. Lin Moyu forced the hallucinations away and dashed aside. As he fled, slaughter lights rained down after every step. A split second slower, and he'd be hit. Live or die, who could say? Even his rebirth ability might not work here, and he wasn't about to risk it. Under the rainbow light, the illusions grew stronger, harder to shake. The primal gem suddenly cheered, it's illusion light. Little soul, come out and do your job. Chapter 4537, Chapter 4537, Dividing the World Remains. Chapter 4537, Dividing the World Remains. Little soul? What's that supposed to be, and what work is it supposed to do? Suddenly, the soul gem lit up, and a tiny vortex appeared on its surface. Though small, the vortex's pull was endless. All the rainbow light in Lin Moyu's vision was sucked into the vortex, and the illusions vanished. The little soul called out by the primal gem was in fact the soul gem. The soul gem devoured the rainbow light, and Lin Moyu sensed a will from it, as if it was not full yet. The primal gem laughed, no rush, there's still more to come. Lin Moyu asked, what was that just now? The primal gem replied, that was illusion light like the slaughter light, but mainly designed to create hallucinations. It's formed from all the thoughts and memories of a world and its beings at the moment of death. After many, many years, these thoughts grow powerful and pure, becoming an absolute delicacy for the soul gem. Lin Moyu recalled that the soul gem had consumed souls before more than once but stopped for some unknown reason. He had thought the soul gem was fully restored and simply didn't need more, but now it seemed that it was just picky. After eating an illusion light, the soul gem's brightness clearly increased a bit, proving it had gained power. The primal gem seemed pleased. Just give it a little more, let little soul eat until it's full. They continued to follow the trail of origin energy, and Lin Moyu asked, if the soul gem can eat illusion energy, how do the other gems grow stronger? The primal gem responded, little element needs to swallow primordial elements, but only those from the dawn of creation, not ordinary elements. If you find the core, you might be able to get one or two. The realm gem is simple, the origin core is its best food. Balance gem is more complicated, it needs to swallow a thread of life force from a living world, and then a thread of deathly chi from a dead world. Both are required to keep it balanced. Lin Moyu said, what about you? The primal gem shook its head. I don't need that stuff. The words carried the usual pride, obviously dismissive, but it would not say what it actually needed. Lin Moyu summarized, so, the origin core goes to the realm gem, the first elements to the element gem, the world's vitality needs to be saved for the balance gem, and the illusion light goes to the soul gem. If the origin core is gone, this world will collapse completely, not even ruins left. That seems a waste. On a whim, Lin Moyu conjured a flame in his hand, world scorching fire, which remained usable here, unaffected at all. As he expected, its level was not inferior to the chaos wilderness. Even a supreme couldn't control such a flame. Even spanning between worlds, it could still be used. The primal gem said, of course the world's not useless. Your world scorching fire can refine it, world remains are second best on its food list. Lin Moyu asked, do you know where it comes from? The primal gem said, not exactly, but I know some things. It's called world scorching fire, it's very high level, and I understand some of its functions. Lin Moyu asked, the world remains are the second best food, what's the best? The primal gem replied, a fully living world, of course. That's the best food, but it's a shame, those worlds don't exist anymore. Eating even a single ruin now is very fortunate. So, the world's value was now shared, with everyone having their share, no need for fighting. Again, rainbow lights flickered, illusion light returned, and just as the illusion appeared, the soul gem's vortex whirled up and devoured it instantly. The illusion didn't even last a thousandth of a second. Still, Lin Moyu began dodging whether illusion light took effect or not, because slaughter light would follow as always. Faced with its power of erasure, all Lin Moyu could do was dodge. After another half-day, flames glowed nearby, tinting the haze around him red. Lin Moyu suddenly felt bouts of agitation, as if infinite anger was about to burst out. He wanted a life or death battle with someone, anyone, even himself. But with no foe, he had thoughts of fighting himself. The primal gem whispered, Wrath light has come. Wrath light forms from all the fury of the world and its creatures, countless souls destroyed, their overwhelming rage fusing into a new entity. Wrath light can shake a creature's will, drowning them in endless anger and turning them into puppets who know only battle. The soul gem's vortex spun rapidly, immediately sucking up the wrath light before it could do harm. The red in the surroundings quickly vanished, and Lin Moyu's emotions calmed. After swallowing the wrath light, the soul gem radiated satisfaction, clearly enjoying the meal and wanting more. The primal gem laughed, no worries, there's more. Just eat your fill. As they drew closer to the origin core, dangers grew ever more frequent and intense. The most common were slaughter lights, which Lin Moyu managed to dodge thanks to his keen soul. Any illusion or wrath light was instantly devoured by the soul gem before it could do anything. Then came sadness light, which could plunge beings into deep despair, but for Lin Moyu, it only made him sad for a split second. Anything related to the soul could almost always be eaten by the soul gem. Why didn't it eat slaughter light? Because it was picky. The slaughter light was too impure. Lin Moyu could only smile at this and accept it. Finally, after 3 days, the resonance with origin energy reached its peak. They found the origin core. The origin core floated in midair, surrounded by a clean, dust-free space a kilometer wide. Lin Moyu sensed the origin energy. It was 80% similar to his own, though less pure. The origin core appeared as an irregular sphere with flowing water, burning fire, blowing wind, every facet showed an element in motion. Inside, huge stores of origin energy could be felt, pulse with vitality. If he hadn't known this was a ruined world, he might have thought it still alive. The primal gem said, that thread of vitality is the primordial life of a living world. Even after destruction, its vitality doesn't fade. In a dead world, that would turn to death chi after collapse. Lin Moyu frowned. So living world's vitality won't change. Does that mean the world could be revived? The primal gem answered, theoretically possible, but in practice, nobody's done it. Don't get greedy, you have your own world. Cultivating that is quite enough. Lin Moyu chuckled, he knew not to be too ambitious. Now, the element gem got to work, absorbing every trace of primordial elements clinging to the origin core. Then the realm gem absorbed the core itself. The balance gem extracted the 10 strands of vitality as the realm gem refined the core. For now, he set the life force aside, intending to use it with death chi for the balance gem. Holding the strand of life, Lin Moyu felt faint amusement. Chapter 4538, Chapter 4538, The World-Scorching Fire Gives Back. Chapter 4538, The World-Scorching Fire Gives Back. That trace of vitality from the origin core was the primal vitality of all creation, vast and mighty. It was the foundation for the evolution of life within the world. Without it, living things would never develop. Lin Moyu gazed at the vitality in his hand and felt it was so similar to the life force in his undying Dao. But this vitality was even more vast and powerful, yet in essence, it was identical to the energy of life in the undying Dao. How can this be? Lin Moyu was puzzled. All kinds of colorful lights flickered, bathing the surroundings in a dazzling brilliance. Slaughter light, wrath light, illusion light, despair light, dangers formed from all manner of emotions descended at once. The origin core had been threatened, and the entire world began to react. All the rays of danger poured down together like a storm. In this situation, dodging was almost impossible. But the primal gem snorted coldly, "Don't disturb us while we're eating." Waving his little hand, the Calamity Scepter erupted with an overwhelming aura, blocking the slaughter light. The soul gem immediately swallowed all the other rays, illusion, wrath, despair, leaving none behind. Lin Moyu simply watched silently. He knew how powerful the primal gem was, it just depended on whether it wanted to act. When Lin Moyu was in danger, it never bothered, but the moment their family dinner was interrupted, it acted decisively. Lin Moyu was speechless at this, but let the little fellow be. The primal gem knew its limits. Echoes of countless voices rang in Lin Moyu's ears. Grievance light had been devoured by the soul gem, but some of the resentment still leaked out. Not just resentment, but also grief, anger, and other emotions exploded all at once. Lin Moyu heard the screams of countless living beings, those whose deaths belonged to this world, their helplessness in their final moments echoing in his soul. When the world collapsed and everything shattered, even Supremes could not escape, they perished just the same. If even the strongest Supremes could die, what hope did anyone else have? But why did all these heavens meet ruin? What truly happened? Those realms, once so powerful, the Supremes who wielded unrivaled power, why did they all fall? This was a terrifying secret, no one had ever uncovered it through all the ages. Just like how no one in the Chaos Wilderness had ever breached the wall of heaven and earth. Now the Chaos Wilderness was the only living heaven left, and Lin Moyu the only one to know this secret. Amid the surging tide of emotion, Lin Moyu's Dao heart became like a lone boat braving the waves. The relentless waves of emotion sharpened his Dao heart, making it ever stronger. His gaze grew more determined. His heart grew like stone, unmoved by anything. No telling how much time passed before the primal gem finally said, "It's your turn, Master." The origin core had been completely devoured, now only an empty shell of this ruined world remained. It would not be long before it also collapsed into dust. The soul gem, element gem, and realm gem were all full, especially the realm gem, which had eaten the entire origin core and now glittered with intricate lines, like arcane runes Lin Moyu couldn't identify but knew must be important. With a wave, he cast out the world-scorching fire, which spread quickly to engulf the entire world. Earlier, with the origin core intact, this fire would have been useless. Now, with the core gone, the world-scorching fire could finally refine the world. Eat well, Lin Moyu murmured. On his path of cultivation, the world-scorching fire had contributed much, but rarely had the chance to feed properly. Now it could at last feast. He wondered if, after refining this world remnant, the world-scorching fire would become stronger. Would it evolve even further? Unfortunately, there were no complete living worlds left to feed it. Attaining its peak now would be difficult. Unless, one day, he gave it the Chaos Wilderness to refine, but even thinking such thoughts was fantasy. He was born of the Chaos Wilderness. Even though he had his own world now, he could not deny his heritage. If he ever let the fire devour the Chaos Wilderness, he too would perish. The world-scorching fire refining a complete living world was next to impossible. Now, the entire world was engulfed by the fire, and Lin Moyu sensed the fire was transforming. This was more than a feast, it was a metamorphic meal for the world-scorching fire. Once the change was finished, the fire would be much stronger, and Lin Moyu's power would rise too. His strength kept climbing, though his cultivation level remained unchanged still at the early Chaos Realm. When I return, it will be time to break through, Lin Moyu murmured. He had lingered at early Chaos Realm long enough, it was time to make progress. The Primal Gem said, "Realm is not important, strength is what matters." Lin Moyu replied, "That may be, but sometimes realm really is needed for certain things." The Primal Gem pondered, "True, sometimes you do need the cultivation to support things. But if you can boost your power while your realm is low, that's even better. A low realm is best for laying foundations. The stronger your base, the higher you can go. Raising strength at low realm is not easy." Suddenly, threads of firelight streamed from all around and poured into Lin Moyu's body. The firelight filled his limbs and then ran into his soul, his whole being grew warm. His already formidable soul and body began to grow yet stronger. What's happening? Lin Moyu was shocked, this had never happened before. He turned to the Primal Gem, only to see an "Don't look at me, I know nothing" expression. Lin Moyu focused and sensed the fiery energy was coming from the world-scorching fire. While refining the world-scorching fire had sent some of its most refined power back into Lin Moyu. This world had once been mighty, and even destroyed, traces of its best remained. Now, some of these traces were Lin Moyu's to keep, transformed into pure strength to fortify his body and soul. As the world-scorching fire continued giving back, Lin Moyu felt his power double when it finally ended. Both body and soul doubled in might. Previously, he could kill late Chaos Realm with one blow and suppress perfected chaos. Now he believed he could punch out a perfected chaos level, even go toe-to-toe with the strongest of that level. His power had already surpassed the Chaos Realm, and Lin Moyu even fooled himself into thinking that, with only raw body and soul without using Dao or techniques, he might match a Supreme. Of course, that was fantasy. Supremes always called on their Dao, and he'd still be overmatched. But if he could drag a Supreme into another world, where Dao was useless and only pure strength mattered, could he kill one? Lin Moyu's thoughts ran wild, but he soon shook it off. He was overthinking again. No one knows how long the fire refined the world, but finally the task was done. A space-time passage appeared before him. The Primal Gem cried out, "Quick! Go through, this whole world will collapse any second." Chapter 4539, Chapter 4539, Encountering the System Again. Chapter 4539, Encountering the System Again. The transformation of the world into dust means that not even the remains or fragments of that world are left. It completely disintegrates into dust, dispersed and annihilated. If any living beings remain in the world at the time it turns to dust, they will also be reduced to nothing along with the world, without any chance of survival. Even if one could somehow survive the destruction, where they would end up is unknown to everyone. According to the Primal Gem, no one has ever survived the dusting of a world. Yet before a world turns to dust, a space-time passage appears. This is the world's final lifeline. Such a passage allows those within to escape. Because Lin Moyu carries the imprint of the Chaos Wilderness, he will return there. The space-time passage rebuilt by Little Tree was erased at the very beginning by death itself. At the urging of the Primal Gem, Lin Moyu entered the space channel, with the world-scorching fire returning at the same time. The instant Lin Moyu entered, he glanced back at the little that remained of the world, its final ruins dispersing into dust. Beyond the dust, there was endless void, a bottomless abyss. Just looking at it, Lin Moyu felt his soul drawn in. In that brief moment of looking, his soul spontaneously developed a massive rift. "Don't look, you'll die," the primal gem shouted. Lin Moyu tried to close his eyes, but suddenly saw something. Rather than shutting them, he forced them open, straining to see. This happened in less than a tenth of a second, and his soul almost shattered instantly. The space-time passage shut, with Lin Moyu carrying his broken soul through the tunnel. Purple light flickered, and his soul tried to piece itself back together. But the healing was slow, as if some invisible force resisted his rebirth. The Calamity Scepter's soul gem glowed, sending an earthy color into his soul, aiding its reconstruction. With the soul gem's help, Lin Moyu finally achieved rebirth. The primal gem scolded, "Master, you're too disobedient. I told you not to look." Lin Moyu didn't reply, lost in thought about what he'd seen moments before. He'd glimpsed a familiar figure, the long-lost system. Years had passed, but he still remembered the moment the system vanished from his soul's void. That scene had burned itself into his soul and could not be forgotten. Later, in the Great World, the system reappeared once, saving him. That had felt like a backup plan, as if the system had anticipated something dangerous would occur. After that, the system disappeared again, leaving no trace or news. But Lin Moyu was certain that his journey from that world to this smaller one, his awakening of a godlike talent, was all connected to the system. Never did he expect to see it again here. No mistake, it's really him. He actually appeared here. He really came here. This place was absolutely uninhabitable, a forbidden zone for life, yet the system showed up here. The system's level far exceeded what Lin Moyu had imagined. The primal gem's voice, tinged with anger, rang in his ears. "Were you even listening? I've never known a master so disobedient. That's a forbidden zone of life, even Supremes can't survive there. Anyone else who looks at it dies instantly. Master, do you think your unique gift means you can do anything you want? What if your talent doesn't work? Then you really will die." Lin Moyu caught the crucial point. Even Supremes couldn't survive there, but the system could. That meant the system's existence surpassed even Supremes. What exactly was the system, and why did it follow Lin Moyu? And what was he, truly? He interrupted the primal gem's complaints. "What exactly is the forbidden zone of life?" The primal gem stared at him as though he were mad. A forbidden zone of life is exactly what it sounds like, a place where life is forbidden. Lin Moyu pressed, "Every place has an origin. Forbidden zone is just a label. Where did it come from?" The primal gem replied, "How should I know?" Lin Moyu pursued, "Then how do you know it so well?" From the primal gem's earlier reactions, Lin Moyu sensed more than was said. The primal gem acted as if he were very familiar with the forbidden zone. Lin Moyu was almost certain the primal gem had been there himself and stayed a long time. Pressed by Lin Moyu's questioning, the primal gem fell silent, not answering. His silence only confirmed Lin Moyu's suspicions. Lin Moyu spoke calmly, "Tell me, did you see anything while you were in there?" After a struggle, the primal gem finally admitted, "Well, since you ask so sincerely, I'll say a little, but really I shouldn't. The karmic consequences are too big, it could bring trouble." Lin Moyu replied, "Speak. I'll endure any karma." Long ago, Lin Moyu might have let it go, but after seeing the system here again, he had to know. Whatever karma there was, it wasn't linked to the Chaos Wilderness. So long as he didn't return there, karma couldn't touch him. Once he was strong enough to enter the so-called Forbidden Zone, he'd have no need to fear karma anyway. The system definitely didn't show up here for no reason. Its appearance must have a purpose. Lin Moyu suspected that everything the system did was for a reason. The primal gem recounted some of his experiences. He really had ended up drifting into the forbidden zone of life. Why, he didn't know. Drifting there, he couldn't control his direction, just aimlessly floated. He wandered for ages, losing all sense of time. There was no space in the forbidden zone of life, no sense of direction. During this drifting, he saw many things, witnessed the world turn to dust, the extinction of living beings, the fall of great powers. Once, a Supreme detected him and tried to capture him, yet before even approaching, the Supreme was annihilated by the Forbidden Zone. He named it the Forbidden Zone of Life because not even Supremes could survive there. At that time, there were still some worlds in the Forbidden Zone, but over time, they were all destroyed. Some turned to dust, others became remnants, but none escaped destruction. Supremes tried to escape the world, some lesser beings tried too. But the instant they entered the Forbidden Zone, they died, no body left behind, reduced to ash. The Forbidden Zone is not somewhere one can enter or even look at. If you were a Supreme, you might barely be able to gaze on it. Most of what the Primal Gem knew came from drifting in the Forbidden Zone, hearing and seeing but never able to interfere, much like the mythical Diting Beast, who could only listen and witness. So he knew a great deal, but it was also tragic. He had no freedom, able only to sense, not to act. Lin Moyu asked, "Was there anything else in the Forbidden Zone besides you?" The Primal Gem said, "There were worlds, nothing else. Though maybe the wall of heaven and earth is in there too, but I have no proof." "Master, did you see something just now?" Chapter 4540, Chapter 4540, It's just that my strength isn't enough. Chapter 4540, It's just that my strength isn't enough. Lin Moyu said, "I saw a familiar face." He did not mention the system, this was his deepest secret, something he would never tell anyone. Impossible. The Primal Gem jumped up in shock, all its metaphorical fur standing on end. That's impossible. There can be no living being in the Forbidden Zone of life. Its reaction was so intense, it was clear that what it had seen and heard in the Forbidden Zone had become a fixed belief. Lin Moyu knew that his comment contradicted the Primal Gem's worldview, which was why it reacted so fiercely. Not only the Primal Gem, but seeing the system affected Lin Moyu deeply. He simply didn't show it so obviously. "I never said it was a living being. Since you could survive there, why couldn't someone else? The Forbidden Zone is so vast, even if you spent countless years there, could you really see every corner? And you don't even know how you entered. Isn't it possible someone entered after you left?" Lin Moyu's words made the Primal Gem freeze on the spot. Right, Lin Moyu just said he saw an acquaintance, not necessarily a living being. The Primal Gem quickly calmed down, "Master is correct. Maybe someone, like me, can survive in the Forbidden Zone." It said this, but clearly didn't fully believe it. Lin Moyu suddenly thought, "Were you thinking you were the only one? That no one else could survive there?" The Primal Gem replied, "I never said that. Although it didn't say so, that's what it thought." Lin Moyu didn't argue further. The Primal Gem had its fixed perceptions, while Lin Moyu was certain he had seen the system. What the system really was, whether or not it was a living thing, it was at least the same type of being as the Primal Gem or perhaps something even higher. As for the so-called Forbidden Zone, Lin Moyu didn't entirely agree with that definition. In his own view, the so-called Forbidden Zone was just a matter of lacking strength. It was like when he had been weaker, some dangerous secret realms would have meant certain death for him, and some lands were forbidden zones for him, entering would have been death. But now, for places he once feared, it was like a walk in his own garden. Threats of the past, for him now, had become as gentle as a spring breeze. So, the Primal Gem's Forbidden Zone was for him simply a place he wasn't yet strong enough for. "One day, I'll set foot inside and find the system. I'll get answers directly." The space-time passage carried him onward, where he gradually sensed a familiar aura up ahead, the aura of the Chaos Wilderness. He had returned home. Inside the Soul World, the three who had been hiding for so long were now lively again. During their time in the world remains, they'd almost lost their powers to fight. That powerlessness oppressed them, the threat of death forced them to hide. Over-reliance on Dao rules is a common flaw of strong beings. In their own worlds, they may be very strong, but as soon as they leave, their strength is less than a tenth. Back in ancient times, teams trained by Supremes to search world remains focused on nurturing their soul and body, not relying on Daos. In Lin Moyu's view, such strength was foundational. This was the proper way to walk through all worlds. As the passage neared its end, the Calamity Scepter was stowed away. It was better to keep a low profile in the chaos. The newly lively Xiaopeng flew out and resumed his job as Lin Moyu's mount. "Father, what was in that other place?" When Lin Moyu sealed the soul world, the others were unaware of his experiences or the conversation with the primal gem. Lin Moyu smiled. "There were some benefits in that world. I gained some life experience." Xiaopeng just nodded, not thinking too much about Lin Moyu's words. "At least we're back. That place was far too dangerous." Lin Moyu agreed. "It was dangerous, but it's still a place worth returning to when the chance comes." Little Tree spoke up, "Master, there's still another one. There was one more openly dangerous world remain." Lin Moyu hesitated, "Let's go later." It wasn't that he didn't want to, but the gems on the Calamity Scepter were still digesting the gains. If they went now, it would be a waste. There weren't many world remains left to find, so they had to conserve resources. With the imprint of the Wall of Heaven and Earth, Lin Moyu could return anytime. The primal gem said it could be used only once, but Lin Moyu could always trick it into making him a new one. He could also study the imprint and maybe replicate it himself, and then not trouble the primal gem at all. The passage reached its end. Lin Moyu's brow furrowed. "Be careful." At the very moment they emerged, an overwhelming aura assaulted them. Attacks swarmed in a dense barrage. Without even seeing clearly, Xiaopeng turned into a golden light and fled far away, immediately escaping the attack's range. Along the way, many attacks struck but were smashed by Xiaopeng's momentum. The golden light didn't just show speed, it was a shield for Xiaopeng. The attacks were dense but weak. Only at early Chaos Realm at best the strikes meant nothing to Xiaopeng. Sight returning, Xiaopeng was surprised. This isn't the South Pole. The environment was nothing like the South Pole. No bitter cold. Lin Moyu replied, "We must be near the South Pole." He'd been to the East, West, and North Poles, just never the South. The environment here was unfamiliar and unlike the other poles, so it had to be the South. And before he left, only the South Pole had actually gone to war with the Central region. After returning from that world remain, they hadn't just entered the South Pole, they'd dropped right into a battlefield. Xiaopeng asked, "What should we do?" Lin Moyu surveyed the battle and gave a soft hum. Then smiled, "What a coincidence." Xiaopeng said, "Father, did you see an old friend?" Lin Moyu looked at the battlefield, "I did. Been a long time, let's go say hello." On the battlefield, Zhu Long was putting on a display of power, fighting against several others. Not seen for years, Zhu Long had now reached early Chaos Realm and had walked very far along that road. From Lin Moyu's perspective, Zhu Long wasn't far from mastering the stage. That Zhu Long had advanced so quickly was likely related to the old man in the green robe. Lin Moyu knew that after breaking free, Zhu Long had become the old man's subordinate. Servants of a supreme always received some privileges. But Zhu Long's situation wasn't good right now. Several other early Chaos Realm experts were ganging up on him. Individually, they were weaker, but together they could match him. Zhu Long had tried repeatedly to break through, but each time failed. It wasn't critical yet, but if the fight went on, things could get ugly. Lin Moyu believed Zhu Long must have some trump card. No servant of a supreme would die so easily. A flash of golden light and 3 of Zhu Long's attackers lost their heads in an instant, killed on the spot. Chapter 4541, Chapter 4541, Is the Supreme afraid of his wife? Chapter 4541, Is the Supreme afraid of his wife? The golden light flashed twice, and out of the 7 opponents besieging Zilong, 6 were instantly slain. Zilong was frozen in shock, as were his adversaries. None of them understood what had just happened. To Zilong, his enemies dropped dead for no reason. To those enemies, they wondered how their companions died so suddenly. Xiao Peng's golden light retracted and settled not far away, and Lin Moyu smiled faintly, "The last one's for you." Seeing Lin Moyu, Zilong snapped out of it and, giving a dragon's roar, shouted excitedly, "All right." He unleashed his full power, assaulting his remaining enemy with relentless attacks like a life and death struggle. By the time his foe reacted, he no longer had any strength to fight back. Lin Moyu saw that Zilong's claws wore a pair of golden treasures, blazing with gold fire. They were clearly supreme treasures, far superior to standard chaos level ones. With them, Zilong could walk the realm of lesser chaos unchallenged. Looks like the old man in the green robe is quite generous to him, Lin Moyu thought to himself. In just a moment, Zilong shredded his enemy, then transformed into human form and flew over. He hadn't yet spoken when, from the distance, there was a wrathful cry, "Die!" A grey cloud exploded in the void, unleashing an oceanic wave of attacks. Zilong's expression changed. Late Chaos Realm, careful. Lin Moyu was unfazed. "Xiao Peng, let me chat with Zilong, don't let anyone disturb us." Xiao Peng responded at once, transformed into golden light, and dashed out. Golden light flooded the sky, forcibly swallowing all the incoming attacks and even surging upstream against them. Zilong was stunned. "That's strong." Lin Moyu smiled. "Ignore him. Just a late Chaos Realm. It'll be over in a few moves. Now tell me, why are you here?" Zilong replied, "My master sent me. He said that after so many years acting as a rules manager, breaking through by cultivation alone would take too long, so battle was needed for progress. With the war breaking out at the South Pole, he sent me here." Lin Moyu asked, "That old man wasn't worried you'd die here?" Zilong said, "Master gave me something for protection, I shouldn't die." The old man in the green robe is quite partial to his subordinates. If he takes someone under his wing, he'll protect them and rarely let them die needlessly. Lin Moyu chuckled. "I can tell. You're about to break into late Chaos Realm, your speed's amazing. He must have given you quite a few benefits." Zilong's expression turned odd, his mouth twitching as if wanting to say something, but he held back. The master he mentioned was the same old man in the green robe that Lin Moyu always called so casually a titled Supreme. For Lin Moyu to call a Supreme like that seemed highly disrespectful. Yet from Lin Moyu's mouth, it felt entirely natural, leaving Zilong not knowing whether to smile or frown. After a moment, Zilong finally said, "You progress even faster and that one there." Lin Moyu said, "He's special. Ignore him. I have matters to ask you." Between old friends, Lin Moyu cut straight to the point, "You know I have a few wives. In these years under the green-robed old man, have you ever seen them?" Zilong thought for a moment. "Over the years I've seen many people with my master, but never your wives." Lin Moyu pressed, "Then what about the green-robed old man's Dao partner? Have you seen her?" Zilong said, "No, only heard about her." "Tell me what you know," urged Lin Moyu. Not seeing his own wives was expected. Lin Moyu had guessed long ago that they were likely with the green-robed old man's Dao partner. Who was she, and was she also a Supreme? He didn't know, but maybe he could get some clues from Zilong. Zilong hesitated. "It isn't really my place to talk about my master's personal affairs." Lin Moyu said, "Don't worry, he won't do anything to you. If he blames you, just say I forced you. If that's not enough, we'll stage a show. I'll beat you half to death, you'll have no choice but to talk, then I'll heal you." Zilong was dumbstruck. Was that really possible? That was basically saying, "You're talking no matter what." Seeing Xiao Peng slaughtering in the distance, Zilong decided, "I'll talk. Though I never saw the mistress, I did overhear some things when my master was playing chess with a friend. Apparently, the mistress is up to something very important and mysterious, but I don't know the details. I did hear her mentioned as having several female disciples if I'm right, that would be your wives. Other than that, I met someone else, your elder sister. Lin Moyu, his elder sister, was once the great sword sovereign, a top figure among proto-supremes, not weaker than a supreme. She was a natural acquaintance of the old man in the green robe and his circle. Lin Moyu continued, do you know what level my master's Dao partner is? Zalong shook his head. No, but she must be powerful. Master sounds quite respectful when he talks about her. Respect? Hey! Lin Moyu sneered softly, sounds more like fear. Zalong startled and quickly shook his head. I know nothing. I didn't hear anything. Some things Lin Moyu could say, but Zalong dared not. Lin Moyu pressed, did my sister and the old man chat about anything? Zalong said, a lot, but I didn't hear much. Back then, your sister sealed the space with her sword intent. If I'd even twitched, it would have meant instant death. Just thinking of that scene, Zalong was a mess of snot and tears. He hadn't wanted to eavesdrop anyway, no need for a death sentence. With tens of thousands of swords aimed at him, blades digging into his skin, he'd have been skewered in an instant. That was an unforgettable sensation. Lin Moyu behaving that way totally in character. Lin Moyu consoled, don't worry, my sister is reasonable. As long as you behave, she won't harm you. Anything else you know? Zalong shook his head. Not really. I never spent much time around master. He's always busy, always off somewhere. If he has time for chess, it's just with friends. Lin Moyu asked, and was the chess companion the white-robed one? Zalong said, no, that's the Celestial Supreme of the upper domain. He drinks tea well, but he's just so-so at chess. The real chess fan is a black-robed Supreme I don't know. But I could feel the killing intent from him, it's scary. Just watching them play, I felt like I was going to die. I didn't dare look. A black-robed Supreme. Lin Moyu took note of that clue. There were currently 8 Supremes in the chaos. If the 3 poles and 4 domains each had one, that left one more. If the green-robed old man's Dao partner was also a Supreme, that made 8. As for the black-robed, bloodthirsty Supreme, Lin Moyu suspected he was the Supreme of the lower domain. The 3 domains upper, central, lower were allied. The Celestial Supreme in white was called Bai Zhen. The lower domain folk were powerful and aggressive, so it made sense for their Supreme to seem terrifying. Now it all fell into place. Chapter 4542, Chapter 4542, Insect Tunnel. Chapter 4542, Insect Tunnel. The information Zalong provided seemed insignificant, but to Lin Moyu, it was extremely important. He now knew more about his wife's situation. They should have become disciples of the green-robed old man's Dao partner. He remembered hearing this Dao partner's voice before, her manner was domineering. In the chaos, only someone with true strength can be overbearing. She must be strong, likely, she was also a Supreme. This meant the green-robed old man's side now had 4 Supremes, taking up half that circle. The other 4 likely came from the 4 extremes, and even if they weren't aligned with the first group, they weren't all enemies, some were probably neutral. Besides the Supremes, there were many quasi-Supremes. Lin Moyu felt confident that the green-robed old man's faction was also strong in that regard. With such an alliance, the Calamity Supreme's plans could proceed smoothly. Everything depends on power. The most crucial thing in Zalong's account was what the green-robed old man's Dao partner was doing. She was engaged in something extremely important, though Zalong didn't know what. She'd once remarked her great formation still lacked people. Obviously, such an array was for something truly necessary. If so, hopefully there would be no danger for Lin Moyu's wives. If something did happen to them, The very thought caused a surge of killing intent to rise from Lin Moyu. Over the years, his murderous aura had grown so cold it could chill the heart. Zalong called out, "Hey, what were you thinking just now?" Lin Moyu instantly hid his killing intent. "Nothing. This fight is basically over. Where are you off to next?" Zalong replied, "I belong to the Central Domain Divine Alliance. This big battle is just one tiny part of the overall war. I have to return to the base and wait for the next action. What about you?" Since Xiao Peng's appearance, the battle ended early. Most of the Southern Pole's powerhouses had been slaughtered by Xiao Peng. Many in the Central Domain Alliance were now without opponents. The fight was finished. It was like a tiger suddenly joining a flock of sheep, and that tiger was friends with one flock. The outcome was clear. Lin Moyu said, "Coming to the Southern Pole was an accident for me. I have something else to do here." "Is your alliance stronghold far from the inter-domain formation?" Zalong replied, "Not close. The big array's location is top secret. We come by special artifact, and after arriving in the Southern Pole, we're far from the array." Lin Moyu understood this was for safety. "Alright then, I'll go do my business first." Zalong replied, "Be careful, some old monsters in the South Pole have awakened. If you go deep, you might run into them." Lin Moyu said, "No problem unless a supreme acts, I'll be fine." Zalong warned, "Also, the Southern Pole's Supreme doesn't get along with my master. If he does attack..." Lin Moyu laughed, "I'll cry for help. Let's see if anyone comes to save me." Zalong found that amusing. "Some joke. Really not funny." Lin Moyu waved at Xiao Peng, who darted to his feet. "Let's go." Turning into golden light, Xiao Peng shot off. Zalong glanced around at the carnage bodies everywhere. Most slain here were at early Chaos Realm, some were half-step Chaos Realm, and a few at late Chaos Realm. None could withstand Xiao Peng. Zalong called out, "Clean up the battlefield. We're leaving." Golden light left a long trail, streaking across Southern Pole's empty space. Southern Pole's environment wasn't like the East's heat, the West's cold, or the North's freezing chill. Of the four extremes, the South was the most balanced and moderate. Near its eastern edge it was a bit warmer. Those regions were dominated by fire path beings. Near the western edge it was colder. Water path beings prevailed. Where Lin Moyu was now, near the central domain, it was evenly mixed, similar to the central domain itself. Each region fit a different Dao. On the surface, that was Southern Pole's character. But look deeper and you'd see the real Southern Pole was actually at its southern tip, next to the ancient wilderness. That was the true, primordial South, unaffected by the other extremes, preserving all its native features. Lin Moyu thought of the South as having gathered all its essence in that one region, which was the gathering place of the South's most primal beings. The beings that fought Zalong earlier weren't genuine Southern Pole natives. They'd all been influenced by other extremes in one way or another. To real Southern Pole natives, such beings were just cannon fodder. The true natives fell into two categories. First were the insect race, a vast group of various insect creatures, held in much higher regard than others here. The other were the spirit bug people, masters of the South, equivalent to how humans ruled the central domain. Spirit bug people were a special race, a mix of human bloodline with all sorts of insects. They were half human, half insect, born with human form and, like humans with a natural Dao body, had amazing cultivation speed and limitless potential, unshackled by bloodline. Because of their insect blood, they weren't innately weak like humans. Many spirit bug people were born strong, with powerful cultivation, saving thousands or even tens of thousands of years compared to humans. Most importantly, they were extremely intelligent. Depending on their bloodlines, some could even control insect beasts. Surrounding them, masses of bugs gathered, making them the South's mightiest force. Spirit bug people were the true rulers here. Lin Moyu's goal was to go to the South's furthest tip, near the ancient wilderness. He sensed that the Calamity Supreme placed a formation there. He'd read Mutian's reports before, those included notes about the southern pole. The south had a monument that served as the origin of all insect life in the region, possessing magical power that could birth new creatures. Lin Moyu guessed the Calamity Supreme's formation was set by this insect's steel. Every formation needed to absorb some special type of power. The steel was probably its target. But the steel was vital. How could the South Supreme allow the Calamity Supreme to siphon its power? No matter how strong, a formation was just a formation. The South Supreme could have easily shattered it. Yet, the Calamity Supreme's array still stood after so many years. Why? There must be some reason. Many mysteries, all demanding a personal visit to unravel. There were no teleportation arrays in the south. Flying from one end to the other even with Xiao Peng's speed would take at least 1,000 years. However, the south did have insect tunnels, similar to teleportation arrays in effect. These tunnels were formed from the corpses of space bugs. Once a space bug died, by placing its head and tail in two places, a wormhole would form between them after a while. Passing through a wormhole let you cross enormous distances in a flash. This was the South's method for fast travel on par with teleportation arrays. Little Tree quickly found one such wormhole. Once they were sure of the direction, Xiao Peng shot toward it at full speed. Chapter 4543, Chapter 4543, Charging into the Insect Tribe's Heartland. Chapter 4543, Charging into the Insect Tribe's Heartland. Outside the wormhole, Southern Pole natives stood guard. Using a wormhole had requirements. The spirit bug people of the South had set some rules, and you had to meet their criteria. But wormholes didn't require activation like teleportation arrays. As long as you went in, it worked. The guards were there only to prevent unauthorized intruders. Xiao Peng, wrapped in golden light, charged straight for the wormhole. The guards were startled awake, but before they could even react, Xiao Peng was already inside. A few Chaos Realm late-stage guards didn't even realize what happened. They glanced at each other, confused about what had occurred. By the time they figured it out, even the traces of Xiao Peng's golden light had vanished. Two of the Chaos Realm late-stage guards exchanged looks and simply closed their eyes again, deciding to pretend nothing happened. Less trouble that way. Inside the wormhole, Lin Moyu could feel space twisting, and they were traveling across space in a unique way. Little Tree said, the head and tail of the space bug create an independent space corridor. Space folds inside its body, so now we're moving even faster than an ordinary teleportation array. Chaos Child asked, did our time have these kinds of bugs? Little Tree shook his head, never heard of them. There were so many strange beings then no way to know them all. The ones they knew of were only the more famous or powerful beings of their time. Most weaker ones became cannon fodder, wiped out as soon as war began. Maybe some had special abilities, but in the end, it didn't matter. Like the space bug, it was only useful dead, as a wormhole, nothing else. There were billions of types of insects in the southern pole, countless and impossible to enumerate. Chaos Child said, back then, the strongest bug was called the ancient wilderness progenitor insect, wasn't it? Little Tree responded, there were two fairly well-known ones, the ancient wilderness progenitor insect, and also the chaos heavenly insect. But both died early, killed by Lord Gold Sunday. Their remains were refined into a powerful artifact. Chaos Child added, I remember when Lord Gold Sun's artifact was nearly finished, an enemy attacked him, and he perished, too. The artifact was never completed. Nobody knows what it was for. Little Tree mused, those two bugs weren't mighty, but they'd both absorbed primordial chi tools refined from them should have been quite good. Once they left the world's remnant, the two little ones finally recovered and began bantering. Talking about the past brought vivid images to mind. It was clear from their stories that the ancient wilderness was constantly at war and chaos. The weak were killed or eaten, and even then, their remains were crafted into artifacts, a miserable fate. Even the strong fared little better. They died later, but they, too, died in the end. Bugs were considered insignificant. The strongest bugs were easily killed and made into tools. Even now, though the southern pole has bred new bug creatures, none were likely to be truly powerful. Spirit bug people, on the other hand, intrigued them. The bugs were forgettable, but combining their blood with humans brought about new changes. The wormhole soon neared its end. Xiao Peng shot out at high speed, and finding no guards at the exit, disappeared into the void again, trailing golden light behind. Little Tree kept searching for more wormholes, while Xiao Peng barreled in, always ignoring the guards. The bug tribe's guards seemed quite fond of sleep, usually crouched and motionless. Using his speed advantage, Xiao Peng could rush in before they ever reacted. Most guards preferred not to make trouble, but as they got closer to the southern pole's southern tip, the tribe's guards grew more alert. Finally, on one journey toward a wormhole, Lin Moyu saw a squad dozens of Chaos Realm late-stage bugs standing firm at the wormhole, clearly waiting for him. His keen soul detected something strange. There was a unique aura rippling across the void, a kind only souls could sense, traveling at unimaginable speed. This is the bug tribe's way to send messages. Amazing. In Mutian's files, the southern bugs were said to have a unique communication method, able to broadcast across vast distances instantly. This was something humans couldn't replicate. The messages contained signals only the bug tribe could comprehend. Breakthrough. Under Lin Moyu's command, Xiao Peng instantly accelerated, speed several times faster than before. The golden light swept the bugs aside and dove into the wormhole. This was a wormhole's flaw, it couldn't lock out intruders as a teleport array could. In an emergency, a teleport core could be shut down, but a wormhole could not. There was only one way to halt an invader: destroy the entrance or exit. While zipping along inside, the space began trembling. Lin Moyu frowned. They're going to destroy the exit. Little Tree. The only way to close a wormhole was to wreck one end of the space bug. The wormhole would collapse, and everything inside would be cast into chaos, whereabouts unknown. Little Tree was ready when Lin Moyu barked his order, roots thrust out, piercing space and forcibly opening a channel within the wormhole. Lin Moyu shot through. The wormhole collapsed, triggering a spatial storm that scattered everything inside. But Lin Moyu had entered the new passage a heartbeat earlier and emerged at the other end. Guided by the formation's sense, Lin Moyu pointed, and Xiao Peng sped away once more. Lin Moyu had now entered the southern pole's core. Bug tribe auras were everywhere and messages flowed in all directions, received by countless bugs. He hadn't been dumped into chaotic space, but was quickly discovered by the bugs. An intruder was inside. The bugs sprang into action. Countless bugs awoke from hibernation to hunt for Lin Moyu. No hiding now. Lin Moyu felt a headache coming on. The bug tribe's powers exceeded his expectations. All about, he saw tiny soul flames. Most were tiny, the weakest only at true god level, body as small as a fingernail, yet able to spy on vast void and report his location. These small bugs were previously totally dormant, even their soul flames extinguished, body fused into the void. He hadn't noticed a thing. Now that they were awakened, he found himself surrounded. He was now deep inside the bug's nest. If exposed, he'd be surrounded within moments. He wasn't afraid, but it would be a headache. He came for the Great Formation, not to fight the entire bug tribe, especially given their backing from Supremes and Quasi-Supremes. Chaos Child, it's your turn. Chaos Child appeared in his hand, releasing a hazy glow. The power of the disordered spirit pearl activated, countless illusions sprang up. All at once, communication among the bugs was disrupted. Chapter 4544, Chapter 4544, Gold Sun Lord isn't dead? Chapter 4544, Golden Sun Sovereign is not dead? In the core of the southern pole, the heartland of the insect tribe, messages from all directions traversed the soul network of the bugs. Here, Lin Moyu saw, the bugs had built an immense communications mesh, reminiscent of smaller worlds he'd seen, where insect tribes used their own networks for instant messaging, no matter the distance. Back then, such a network was simply the mother bug controlling her spawn, but here, it was the entire insect race communicating, and without disrupting each other. Lin Moyu considered this soul-level network extremely advanced, as close to perfection as could be. But he also deduced there must be a core source enabling it all. Just like the familiar bug tribes, there had to be a queen for the southern pole. The core was most likely that steel of bugs. He was almost certain in his mind, it must be that bug steel. Chaos Child unleashed the power of the disordered spirit pearl to its utmost. This was the first time since fusing with the orb that he'd let it run absolutely wild. The disordered spirit pearl's greatest use was in soul interference, making others see only what you wanted them to see. Lin Moyu didn't know exactly what the bugs would perceive, but after the orb's power spread, the whole soul network fell into confusion. As the chaos widened, the effect snowballed, disorder rippled ever farther through the bug tribe's network. The pearl itself caused no harm, just deep confusion. The bugs never detected that anything was wrong with themselves. With the orb cast, Xiao Peng encountered no resistance, traversing several space worm tunnels with ease, encountering no further blocks. The bug tribe's guards who should have intercepted Lin Moyu simply ignored him. Everything has two sides. A soul network like this is convenient, but also leaves openings for clever exploiters, Lin Moyu thought. He sensed the formation was getting closer. Hopefully this mission will go smoothly and the Southern Pole's Supreme won't interfere. It seemed Supremes had their own agreements, even checks and balances amongst each other. Normally, a Supreme would not attack ordinary practitioners unless provoked or in case of rules broken. If a Supreme did act, a justifiable reason was required, nothing that would create new karmic entanglements. But if a Supreme didn't care about karma or reputation, there was nothing stopping them from acting. In the end, it was luck that mattered. Lin Moyu hoped his held out. Passing through nearly 100 worm tunnels, Lin Moyu drew near the Calamity Supreme's great formation. From afar, he saw a colossal steel, the bug steel. Its material was unknown, smooth as jade, gleaming, with liquids flowing within. It was truly gigantic, comparable to a domain-sized world, visible from billions of miles away. Lin Moyu thought it was the largest structure he'd ever seen. Even Xiao Peng, traveling from its base to the top, would need several days. Xiao Peng could reach tens of millions of miles per second at full speed. He recalled in his old world, the speed of light was 300,000 kilometers per second. But Xiao Peng was 100 times faster than light, and could go even faster with other techniques. He could even use secret arts to multiply his top speed. On the bug steel, countless patterns were engraved. Every species existing in the Southern Pole bug tribe was depicted there. Thus, the bugs revered the steel as their origin and sacred relic, believing they were born from it and seeing it as untouchable. Ironically, the true rulers of the South were not the bug tribe, but the spirit bug people, their bloodline a mix of bugs and humans, and they were nowhere to be seen on the steel. Yet these spirit bug people held power, commanded the bug steel, and controlled the entire bug tribe with it. It was said there'd once been great strife between the spirit bug people and the insects, but in the end, the spirit bug people won and permanently took control. Upon seeing the bug steel, Lin Moyu instantly understood the soul network's origin. All messages must run through the steel, without it, there would be no network. Suddenly, Chaos Child exclaimed, that bug steel is exactly what Golden Sun Sovereign was refining. Little Tree joined in, that's right, Golden Sun Sovereign killed the ancient wilderness progenitor bug and Chaos Heavenly bug, refining their corpses into this steel. But before he finished, he was killed. Chaos Child said, he died, but the artifact survived. Little Tree disagreed, not so simple. Golden Sun Sovereign was a top expert, it wouldn't be so easy to kill him. Look at what's inside the steel, doesn't it remind you of something? Chaos Child pondered, come to think of it, Golden Sun Sovereign's true form, wasn't it an egg? Little tree, yes, and what's inside an egg? Chaos Child blurted, just yolk and egg white, right? Then realization struck. You mean, the entity in the steel is Golden Sun Sovereign himself? Little tree, exactly. He really was killed, but not completely. He abandoned his outer shell and moved inside the steel, escaped with it. Chaos Child finally understood, so the half-finished artifact vanished back then for this reason. That era was too chaotic, and nobody kept digging. The being who killed Golden Sun Sovereign never finished him off, and the Sovereign escaped death after all. If Golden Sun Sovereign survived, could he still be alive even now? Would the Dao allow such a being to keep living? Lin Moyu listened to the exchange, his face turning serious. He focused on the bug steel, simultaneously sensing the Great Formation's location. It was right behind the steel, closely linked to it. He'd thought there'd be some distance between them, but was stunned at the steel's vastness. Xiao Peng flew toward the steel for half a day, but the distance barely shrank. It was like a person seeing a mountain far away. Drawing closer took ages. Fortunately, the disordered spirit pearl still worked, so the bugs left him be. 2 more days passed. Eventually, more perfected tier bugs began to appear. The orb still worked, just less effectively. They sometimes looked his way, suspicious, but didn't attack. This close, the patterns on the steel became clearer, and Lin Moyu could sense its unique current. 3 days in, Lin Moyu said, Xiao Peng, stop for a moment. Chapter 4545, Chapter 4545, Golden Supreme. Chapter 4545, Golden Supreme. Xiao Peng obediently stopped immediately. Father, what's wrong? Lin Moyu ignored him, raising his head to look at the bug steel. Xiao Peng followed Lin Moyu's gaze, looking at the vivid, countless bugs on the steel, and then he saw the top of the steel. There's someone up there. Xiao Peng couldn't help but cry out in shock. Seated on the enormous bug steel was a person, so small compared to the steel he looked like a speck of dust, yet the instant Xiao Peng saw him, a chill ran up his spine. He couldn't look away, all his attention was drawn in. Even the existence of the steel itself seemed to vanish in comparison. He became the absolute center of this stretch of space without rival. A Supreme! Xiao Peng blurted out. The only thing that could give him such a feeling now was a Supreme. If it were just an ordinary top-tier perfected expert, Xiao Peng might not win, but wouldn't be scared. Only a Supreme could make him feel terror. Lin Moyu said calmly, the Southern Gold Supreme. He didn't get Xiao Peng's reaction. His own soul was so powerful that Supremes had become almost ordinary to him. Besides, he'd dealt with Supremes before, so he hardly felt anything now. The Gold Supreme of the Southern Pole wore a golden robe, styled just like any other Supreme, merely differing in color. Gold Supreme turned to look, meeting Lin Moyu's eyes. In that moment, Gold Supreme's figure appeared to swell in Lin Moyu's perception. An invisible power wrapped around Lin Moyu. He didn't resist, he could sense that this force was no threat. His soul gave no warning. Trusting his soul, Lin Moyu accepted it. The void seemed to twist for an instant, vision blurred, and he was suddenly standing right before the Supreme. Across vast distances, an instant had brought him to the top of the bug steel. Lin Moyu put Xiao Peng away and respectfully greeted the Supreme. Lin Moyu of the Central Domain human race greets Gold Supreme. He spoke without humility, yet not arrogantly, showing respect, but also equality. No need for formalities. Please, sit. Gold Supreme didn't care for etiquette, simply gesturing for Lin Moyu to sit. There was no tea table before him, only the emptiness of the steel's surface, as if he and the bug steel were inseparably entwined. Lin Moyu had the feeling that this Supreme had been sitting there for countless years. Remembering the conversation between Little Tree and Chaos Child, Lin Moyu suddenly wondered, could this Gold Supreme actually be the legendary Golden Sun Sovereign from the old times? But if he really was, How had he managed to escape the Tao's pursuit, and even reach the rank of Supreme? Carrying these doubts, Lin Moyu sat and asked tactfully, "Were you waiting for me?" He couldn't ask directly, he had to probe from the side, seeking clues from the Supreme's words and expressions. Gold Supreme replied, "I was waiting for the inheritor of the Calamity will." "Is that you?" Lin Moyu answered, "It seems so." "Are you friend or foe to him?" Gold Supreme remained expressionless, impossible to read. "Friend," he said. Lin Moyu probed further. "Are you planning to kill me?" Gold Supreme responded, "His setup is complete. Killing you would change nothing, another would come. Besides, I need you for something. If you do it, I will be neither friend nor foe to him. Fail, and I'll kill you." Lin Moyu fell silent, weighing the truth of Gold Supreme's words. His tone contained no emotion, utterly unrevealing, but when Lin Moyu listened very carefully, he picked out genuine killing intent. Gold Supreme was not joking. Gold Supreme went on, "Don't think I'm bluffing or that I have any scruple. I know you have Supremes behind you, more than one, most likely. But what of it? I'm sitting right here. Would they dare to step in? If not for a promise from the Calamity brat back then, he could never have set up his formation here in the first place." Finally, a thread of feeling showed in Gold Supreme's voice, though slight. Lin Moyu caught it at once. This was telling. Gold Supreme harbored no real respect for the Calamity Supreme. Even if Calamity was a top-tier Supreme, Gold Supreme's attitude was dismissive. Most noteworthy, Gold Supreme called Calamity Supreme Calamity Brat. Supremes normally addressed each other as equals even if one had been a Supreme earlier, honorifics were standard. Gold Supreme's casual term showed he was the senior, not just longer lived, but from an older epoch. It was like how Little Tree and Chaos Child treated Xiao Peng cordial, but always as a junior, until Xiao Peng awakened the golden-winged Peng bloodline and became their peer by origin, not strength. Gold Supreme was like that too. A casual remark gave much away. After a moment, Lin Moyu asked tentatively, "Sovereign?" Gold Supreme's aura surged, and the void filled with ear-piercing insect cries. Lin Moyu's soul warned him, this person was dangerous. So Gold Supreme was indeed the Golden Sun Sovereign, as Lin Moyu now knew for certain. Suppressing his shock, Lin Moyu maintained a calm tone. "There's no need for such a reaction. Are you afraid?" Gold Supreme's expression flickered, his eyes crawling with shifting patterns, as if countless insects swarmed within. He was a spirit bug person, half human, half insect, master of the bug steel and the entire bug tribe, the true lord of the southern pole. If angered, he could plunge the whole south into disaster. The bug army could flood the 3 domains and 4 extremes in blood. Lin Moyu met his gaze unflinchingly, wholly unafraid. A few words could never unnerve a Supreme, that would mean his Dao heart was worthless. If Gold Supreme was acting this way, it could only mean he was putting on a show, trying to seem easy to deal with. Well, Lin Moyu would play along. The colder he stayed, the harder it would be for Gold Supreme to read him, and the more Lin Moyu could learn. After a while, Gold Supreme composed himself. "How did you know?" Lin Moyu answered, "Just a guess. I'd heard stories about you living until now, and becoming a Supreme is remarkable indeed." Gold Supreme replied, "You don't understand the price I paid." Lin Moyu said, "Though the price was great, what you gained was even greater. So, what do you want from me? And I'd like to know what promise did Calamity Supreme make you in the past?" Gold Supreme said, "You're truly the inheritor of Calamity Brat's will. He's strong, but not worthy of my admiration. I've seen stronger ones. What I really respect is his schemes, his resolve, his command of the game. He told me there would be a will inheritor sent here one day, and that person would be me." Chapter 4546, Chapter 4546, I Want Freedom. Chapter 4546, I Want Freedom. The Golden Supreme recounted the events of the past with the Calamity Supreme and explained what he wanted Lin Moyu to do, making everything clear to him. The Golden Supreme was incredibly powerful, an ancient powerhouse from ages past, master of the bug steel, and not weaker than the Calamity Supreme himself. Had he not permitted it, the Calamity Supreme never could have set up a great array here, nor could he have connected the formation to the steel. But the Golden Supreme was bound. As Golden Sun Sovereign in ancient times, he'd killed the ancient wilderness progenitor bug and the chaos heavenly bug, fusing their bloodlines and corpses to craft an artifact. This treasure's function was to base itself on those two bloodlines, mix in rare artifacts and his own blood, and thus evolve the bug race, creating a new lineage of beings, a power to sweep through the ancient chaos if successful. Such were the conditions of that era. But at the final stage of forging his treasure, an enemy arrived. He was killed. Before dying, he sent his soul, bloodline, and all into the near-complete bug steel, and with his last strength, escaped with the steel. He lost consciousness, the steel drifted through unknown void for ages. Luckily, it wasn't discovered by another powerhouse and refined, or he'd have been truly annihilated. When he finally awoke, he used his soul as fire, blood as the lead, and finished refining his creation. The steel was completed, he became its master, and, rooted in it, regained a physical form. But he awoke to find the world's rules had changed. A hidden overlord, the Dao, now controlled things. He realized his age was over, the ancient wars ended, all other powerhouses perished, and he alone, a shattered remnant, survived. Perhaps it was thanks to merging with the artifact that the Dao did not notice him, and naming himself Gold, he steadily grew stronger through the bug steel. Along the way, he killed many others, blending their bloodlines into the steel, evolving it as he planned until it became the bug tribe itself, and he was the Golden Supreme. Later, others discovered traces of the Dao, but all died without exception. The Dao always worked behind the scenes. No one knew what it was doing, none dared pry too deeply. Golden Sun Sovereign was especially cautious, hiding out of fear of being found. Then the Calamity Supreme noticed the Dao, but instead of acting immediately, he spent countless years arranging a plan. The Calamity Supreme found him in the southern pole, asking to use the bug steel's might for a grand array. He refused, even clashing with the Supreme. The result, he gained a slight advantage, especially before the steel where even the Calamity Supreme couldn't force his way. Killing the Calamity Supreme was no easier, though. The Calamity Supreme then offered a condition the Golden Supreme couldn't refuse. Once the formation was set, someone would come to carry on his will, a person who could help Gold break free from the bug steel. After becoming a Supreme, what Gold wanted most was to be free from the steel. The steel had made and saved him, it let him survive, but after losing his freedom, escaping it became his one true desire. The Calamity Supreme hadn't made empty promises, he had sought out the Quasi-Supreme best at fate, even though that one would suffer calamity for it, and truly prophesied the event. Gold believed it. He agreed, letting the Calamity Supreme set the array. Countless years have passed, he at last welcomed Lin Moyu. If Lin Moyu cannot fulfill the Calamity Supreme's promise, he will not hesitate to kill him. A useless man, why keep him around? That was Gold's honest thought, though he hadn't expected Lin Moyu to see through his identity. For a moment, he did panic a bit, but he was steadier than he seemed. He pretended otherwise, wanting to see how Lin Moyu would react to his killing intent. Had Lin Moyu flinched, Gold would have gained the upper hand. But Lin Moyu had no reaction at all, rendering all his efforts meaningless. Lin Moyu asked, "Did he ever say how you'd be freed from the steel?" Gold shook his head. He only said the inheritor would know. You believed that? Lin Moyu was surprised. The Calamity Supreme's words, even with a Fate Master's prophecy, sounded less than reliable to him. Fate was always changing, even what happened the next day could be totally different, let alone after countless ages. But Gold disagreed. It's not the Calamity Brat I believe in, but that Fate Quasi-Supreme. His calculations were never wrong, and if anyone sensed my identity, it was him. Besides, the Calamity Brat's schemes were exceptional. I was also curious to see if he could one day kill that guy. Freedom, that may be true freedom. Freedom has many forms. Escaping the steel is one, but the Tao's presence is a sword hanging overhead. Only if the Tao perishes is there true freedom. That's what Gold really wants, which is why he agreed to set up the Grand Array. Gold said, "This is what I can tell you now. If you can help me break free, whether you knew my identity or not, I will spare your life. If you cannot, I'll still kill you. Only the dead can keep secrets." Lin Moyu thought a little. "Let me take a look." Gold agreed with a grunt, "Go ahead." He slapped the bug steel, which emitted a gentle radiance as the markings upon it lit up then faded. All the steel's aura withdrew, it seemed to fall into a slumber, and the void fell completely still. All sounds ceased, and even the bug's soul communications stopped. Even the bugs at the front line in combat froze, unmoving, allowing themselves to be killed but not fighting back. The steel was the bug tribe's heart, stopping it stilled them all. "Control the steel, control the tribe." Gold said, "Take a look, let's see what you can find." He spoke with a double meaning. He refined the steel, knew all its secrets. He doubted Lin Moyu could see anything new. Lin Moyu probed the steel with his soul. Inside, it was unfathomably deep, and would take time to inspect. As he investigated, he asked, "Have you asked anyone else for help over the years?" Gold replied, "They're not worthy to help me." Lin Moyu wore a strange expression. "In your state, you're still so proud? That's something, all right." His soul delved deeper, and Lin Moyu suddenly discovered something. Chapter 4547, Chapter 4547, The Old-Fashioned Little Fellows. Chapter 4547, The Old-Fashioned Little Fellows. The bug steel was gigantic. As Lin Moyu's soul force probed ever deeper, it required considerable time. At this moment, though the steel had temporarily halted all motion, the energy within it had not fully died down. Lin Moyu witnessed countless golden supremes wandering inside the steel, all over the place, quantities without end. Both power and will have taken form. Lin Moyu understood that these were manifestations of golden supreme's strength and will. Whether power or will, both had already taken shape. Each of these golden supremes carried a portion of the true body's force and will, serving as avatars. Golden Supreme ordinarily sat here and did not go out, but when he needed to, these avatars acted in his place. His true body remained stationary. The area immediately around the bug steel was a forbidden zone. No bugs dared enter. Further out, untold numbers of bugs stood guard. Golden Supreme sat atop the steel year after year, not out of unwillingness, but because he simply could not leave. The bug steel was so massive that moving it would trigger an all-out effort from Golden Supreme. In all these ages, aside from his one battle with Calamity Supreme, he'd never fully exerted himself. Of the 8 current Supremes, 7 were his juniors. They knew little of this mysterious senior figure. Passing through countless avatars, Lin Moyu delved deeper into the steel's core. Then he saw endless bugs, each with a strange appearance, being gestated within. The steel could breed bugs, aside from those reproducing on their own. All powerful ancestor bugs in the southern pole came from it. To bugs, being gestated by the steel was the highest honor. All steel-born new bugs emerged as Dao lords, and when grown, would definitely be of the Chaos Realm, immense power and potential above ordinary bugs. Beyond the breeding zones, Lin Moyu saw a boiling sea, pale yellow, exuding an indescribable stench. He could feel waves of nausea through his soul force. Bug eggs would rise from this yellow sea and ascend into the gestation area. So the true source of bug eggs is this sea, Lin Moyu realized. His soul force delved farther, into the yellow sea to see inside. Within, innumerable formations absorbed chaos energy from outside, mingling and recombining it in all sorts of patterns. Combinations were random, sometimes successful, sometimes failing. When successful, the merged power generated new energy. A drop of blood would fly across the yellow sea, merging within to form a bug egg. The blood came from the various corpses within the sea, endless different giant beast bodies. These corpses endlessly provided blood, each type unique. The chaos energy drawn in was split and fused, and after a successful mix, added to blood, generated ever new bug eggs. Some were strong, some weak, the combinations possible were countless, so the bug varieties bred were endless. Just like permutation and combination. Lin Moyu sighed quietly back then. Golden Sun Sovereign's idea of this was simply genius. If the steel had existed while the ancient titans yet lived, their blood would have been worth much more, and the primordial chaos's power much greater. If the steel appeared then, Golden Sun Sovereign's vision might truly have been realized. Now, though, chaos's power was far diminished, and strong beings with valuable blood were rare. The bugs bred could only dominate the southern pole. This is fate. Lin Moyu's sense swept through the sea and deeper into the steel's innermost core. He was convinced besides Golden Supreme himself, maybe no one had reached this place before. If his goal was to destroy the steel, he only needed to shatter its core. No matter how strong the steel, its core couldn't be limitless. Of course, if he tried, Golden Supreme would kill him instantly. Again, Lin Moyu saw countless Golden Supremes, but these were not avatars, they were imprints left within the steel. They permeated every inch, infinite, filling the very heart of the steel. As long as Golden Supremes will existed, nobody could take over the steel. Even if he faced mortal danger, he could abandon his body and again use the steel to escape. Reforming a body in the future wouldn't be difficult, and his level would barely fall. No matter the era, Golden Supreme always prepared a way of retreat for himself. With enough time, his power could shatter void entirely, letting him slip away into the most ancient wilds. Once within, even the Dao would have to expend vast power to track him down. Here, Lin Moyu saw a vast net. It caught up all the Golden Supremes, leaving none out. And a single thread from the net stretched subtly outward, tightly linking to Golden Supreme's body. But Golden Supreme himself seemed completely unaware. At the instant Lin Moyu saw the net, he realized he'd found the real problem. That's probably it. He was 70 or 80% sure still, he wanted to confirm. He called out, "Senior, have you ever noticed a vast net at the steel's core?" Golden Supreme showed surprise. What net? So, he truly didn't know. He was caught in the net, yet saw nothing, thought he was simply bound to the steel by his own refinement. Given he'd lost his body at the time, then forged the steel after barely surviving, it was only natural he misunderstood. If this was the root cause, a Supreme should have found a solution in all these years. If not, there must be another reason. Now, Lin Moyu felt certain that net was the source of it all. He described what he'd seen to Golden Supreme, who was skeptical. He was a Supreme if he couldn't see it, how could Lin Moyu? Lin Moyu didn't know either, but it was plain to his senses. There was no need to tinker, yet if that net could seal Golden Supreme's will and deceive his senses, there must be something extraordinary about it. And if Lin Moyu got careless, who knows what disaster he might stir up. He sent a message about the net to Little Tree and Chaos Child. Chaos Child wasn't sure, is this the web of the spider god? Little Tree stared for a while, still unsure. After Lin Moyu shared information about Golden Supreme, Chaos Child said, "That doesn't fit. The spider god's web can hold souls, but there's no way it's undetectable." Little Tree suddenly said, "But if there's one other thing added in, it could work. Remember the 1,000-legged spider was killed by the ancient wilderness progenitor bug, right?" Chaos Child nodded, "Yeah, everybody knows that." Little Tree said, "Didn't the hidden spirit pearl end up with Chaos Heavenly Bug?" Chaos Child was stunned. "You mean the hidden spirit pearl?" Little Tree confirmed, "Yes, though he never finished refining it, or he wouldn't have fallen to Golden Sun Sovereign." Chaos Child said, that explains it, then it must be the hidden spirit pearl. Lin Moyu laughed. Having one old resourceful elder was priceless, having two was even better. Chapter 4548, Chapter 4548, Master, you must find it. Chapter 4548, Master, you must find it. Little Tree and Chaos Child, these two fellows, survived until nearly the end during that ancient chaos. They knew a great deal about what had happened. Back then, information flow wasn't so restricted, and divisions in the primal chaos wilderness weren't so stark. News spread quickly. Especially Little Tree, his roots then covered most of the chaos, and the information he gathered was astonishing. From their words, Lin Moyu was able to sketch out a rough panorama of the ancient chaos. The first to die were the weak. Those with greater strength survived longer. Lin Moyu thought this perfectly fit the rules of heaven and earth. Little Tree and Chaos Child lived long only because of their power. Chaos Child was not good at combat, but his inner world produced 9 Supremes and 9 Quasi-Supremes. Though inferior to the extreme top powerhouses, their numbers gave Chaos Child a solid foundation for survival. Still, as time wore on, the survivors became fewer and stronger, but in the end, fate caught up to everyone. Between them, Little Tree and Chaos Child described the Golden Supreme situation in all clarity. Golden Supreme was once the Golden Sun Sovereign, not weak, but not strong enough by their standards, so he died sooner. Many things the Supremes didn't know. The primal chaos progenitor bug once killed a strange species called thousand-legged spider, refining it into a spider god web. This web could bind souls, preventing escape, handy for the progenitor bug's hunting. Few knew this fact, but both Chaos Child and Little Tree did. Back then, the primal chaos wilderness birthed spirit pearls, each with different effects, like disordered spirit pearl, azura spirit pearl, etc. One was called hidden spirit pearl. It did not develop sentience and had only one power, concealment. Whether soul or body, it could hide them using the pearl, nigh impossible for others to detect. It had no fighting power and was not much valued until obtained by Chaos Heavenly Bug. With the hidden spirit pearl, Chaos Heavenly Bug successfully ambushed several strong figures, but hurried too much and never fully refined it. Refining was difficult and time-consuming. In the end, Chaos Heavenly Bug was still slain by Golden Sun Sovereign, but both the hidden spirit pearl and the spider god web ended up merged into the bodies of Chaos Heavenly Bug and Progenitor Bug, respectively. The Golden Sun Sovereign then refined them both into the bug steel, so hidden spirit pearl and spider god web became part of the steel. Had Golden Sun Sovereign finished refining the steel, it would have combined their abilities concealment, binding, creation, evolution, incalculable powers in one. But he was killed as well, giving up his body and fleeing with the incomplete steel. He survived, but the refinement was interrupted, leaving both him and the steel incomplete. At that point, his soul was snared by the spider god web, inextricably bound to the steel. After countless years, he awoke and finished the steel's refining, re-emerging in physical form through it. He never realized that he was trapped by the spider god web, nor thanks to the hidden spirit pearl could he even perceive the net, let alone guess the reason. Those in the midst of events are often confused, while bystanders see clearly. Lin Moyu fully understood the cause at last. Now, resolving it was actually not hard. The hidden spirit pearl and the spider god web were both in the steel but not fully fused. All he had to do was find the hidden spirit pearl and refine it. The web would be exposed, and Golden Sun Sovereign would perceive it at last. With his power, once he saw the web, he could easily deal with it. Little Tree said, "Actually, the hidden spirit pearl is extremely useful, but most people don't know the right way to use it." "Master, you must get it." Lin Moyu asked. "With it, can one avoid its detection?" Little Tree answered, "So long as you merge the hidden spirit pearl into your soul world, it can't probe your soul world at all. The pearl only had the hiding power, but the less diverse its powers, the more powerful its effect. Even the Dao couldn't detect it." Little Tree had searched for the pearl before, but never found it until it was unexpectedly acquired by Chaos Heavenly Bug. Had Chaos Heavenly Bug fully refined it, Golden Sun Sovereign could never have killed him. Now the hidden spirit pearl was inside the bug steel. Though the space inside was vast, with careful searching, it could be found. Lin Moyu began following the spider god web to search. The web had a set structure and pattern. In the far corners, everywhere was filled with Golden Supreme's soul imprints. Even if I refine the hidden spirit pearl, it'll take him a long time to break free, Lin Moyu calculated. After so long, they've nearly become one. It'll be excruciating for him to get out. Still, that wasn't Lin Moyu's problem. As he searched, the web grew thinner, even Golden Supreme's soul imprints faded. Lin Moyu knew he was closing in. Eventually, the web vanished, along with all soul marks of Golden Supreme. By feel, the place seemed empty, void of everything, but in fact, it was full of soul imprints and the invisible web. He couldn't touch the web. If he did, his soul force would be stuck as well, and he might lose all chance of finding the pearl, or even be caught by its effect. The difficulty had risen to a near impossible level, too hard for anyone but him. Lin Moyu thought a moment and found a solution. Here, in the chaos, he could use the cause-seeking ring. Golden Supreme stood right in front of him. Lin Moyu activated the cause-seeking ring inside his soul. Effect without a cause. He started planting the result, letting himself find the hidden spirit pearl without touching the spider god web. A torrent of backlash hit far stronger than Lin Moyu had imagined. His body and soul cracked all over. After several seconds of this, he exploded, body and soul annihilated. Golden Supreme was stunned. He'd never seen anything like it, and had no idea what to do. He stayed still, waiting to see what would happen. A moment later, purple light flashed, flesh and blood reformed, and Lin Moyu was back as if nothing had happened. Though still covered in cracks, he was alive. Now, Lin Moyu's body and soul were tough. Such violent backlash only killed him once. In the past, it would have killed him dozens of times. The hidden spirit pearl's power exceeded all expectation. It could even shield portions of causality itself. Otherwise, finding the effect without the cause would not have killed him even once. Golden Supreme asked in disbelief, "Are you all right?" Chapter 4549, Chapter 4549, I keep my promises. Chapter 4549, I keep my promises. Lin Moyu smiled and said, "It's nothing, just a small problem, I can handle it." Golden Supreme nodded, "As long as you're fine. Be careful though, even though I've stopped the bug steel, there's still danger inside." Lin Moyu understood that over the years, the Golden Supreme must have tried many times, but every attempt had failed. The danger inside the bug steel came from the unseen spider god web, something he simply could not overcome. Golden Supreme was not expressing concern for Lin Moyu out of care, but because if Lin Moyu failed, he himself would still be trapped and unable to get free. Lin Moyu said, "I'll be careful, but I should let you know in advance, your soul may get a bit scorched, it'll hurt some, so please bear with it." "All right." As long as it could solve the problem, Golden Supreme considered a little pain to be nothing at all. With the cause-seeking ring already having produced the effect, Lin Moyu continued to boldly explore. He trusted the ring no matter how he went about things, he wouldn't touch the spider god web, and he was confident he'd find the hidden spirit pearl. This artifact once stood atop the grand path of causality itself. In the primal chaos wilderness, the cause-seeking ring was practically a defiant artifact. As long as he could bear the price, he could accomplish almost anything. As Lin Moyu explored the bug steel, he began to feel he was getting closer to the hidden spirit pearl. Inside the bug steel, it looked like there was nothing, but his keen soul let him know he'd encountered many soul imprints left by Golden Supreme along his path. Each of these carried a trace of Golden Supreme's aura and could be sensed upon contact. Suddenly, Lin Moyu felt an urge to stop a message from the grand path of causality itself. He'd arrived before the hidden spirit pearl. Lin Moyu gathered his soul power in this spot, sweeping his gaze all around him, but there was nothing visible, nor any sensation of anything in perception. The cause-seeking ring would not mistake this, it's definitely here. With a wave of his hand, wisps of world-scouring fire streamed forth, splitting into countless fiery threads, lashing out in every direction. Wherever the fire passed, it illuminated the soul imprints of Golden Supreme. The world-scouring fire affected these soul imprints a bit, but Lin Moyu controlled it carefully to avoid too much impact. However, it had no effect whatsoever on the spider god web. The fire thread would pass through without even making it visible. Outside the bug steel, Golden Supreme frowned slightly. The passing of the world-scouring fire over his soul imprints caused a slight sting, not pleasant, but not intolerable. Since Lin Moyu had warned him, Golden Supreme endured it. The sweep of the fire covered more and more ground, growing ever denser until, finally, in a nondescript corner, the flame twisted. Something stopped it. From the way the fire twisted, Lin Moyu deduced this object must be the hidden spirit pearl. The pearl couldn't be sensed or seen, but it was physically real and could be touched. With the fire striking it, its outline became clear at once. Lin Moyu's soul rushed forward, stopping before the hidden spirit pearl. Being invisible, he did not just reach out, he knew the spider god web had to surround it. If he touched the web, things would get troublesome. The hidden spirit pearl and the spider god web had fused into one. It would not be easy to separate them. After a short thought, Lin Moyu produced a drop of celestial jellyfish. Golden Supreme, upon seeing it, instinctively felt it was dangerous. He took a closer look, old memories surfacing. That's a jellyfish. Lin Moyu nodded. Senior is quite perceptive. Golden Supreme chuckled. Of course I know it. That stuff is valuable, but very rare. Getting your hands on some is no small fortune. Its waters, the Chaos Divine Water, has driven perfected beings of the Western Pole wild for eons. But now, its use was to dissolve the spider god web. Lin Moyu sent the jellyfish into the bug steel, guiding it soulfully to the hidden spirit pearl. The jellyfish enveloped the pearl, the web around it quickly melted away. The connection between the hidden spirit pearl and the spider god web was instantly broken. Suddenly webs began appearing all around. Without the hidden spirit pearl, the spider god web couldn't hide. Webs filled the area densely, but there was only one way through. Lin Moyu had found it blind, but it was the only true path, courtesy of the cause-seeking ring. Once you plant the right result, the outcome is inevitable. With the spider god web exposed, Golden Supreme could finally sense it. He murmured, "Is this what's been trapping me?" Lin Moyu said, "The spider god web. You must have heard of it." Golden Supreme whispered, "So that's it. No wonder I couldn't feel anything before." Because of the hidden spirit pearl, Lin Moyu answered. Recognition dawned on Golden Supreme and he muttered, "I never thought it would be these. Now I see why, for all these years, I couldn't sense a thing." Lin Moyu ignored his sentiment. "I'm going to refine the hidden spirit pearl now. Once I do, you should be able to deal with the spider god web. You don't want the web, but I must have the hidden spirit pearl. No negotiating." Golden Supreme could refine the hidden spirit pearl, but the process would take him much longer. Meanwhile, the web would reconnect with the pearl, ruining all his effort. He knew this, so he generously said, "Go ahead, take it out of here." In his eyes, the pearl was of little use. Regaining his freedom was all that mattered. Carefully Lin Moyu wrapped the pearl in celestial jellyfish, then poured soul power into it to leave his imprint, his preliminary refinement. This went smoothly. Lin Moyu's soul was strong, and soon the hidden spirit pearl bore his mark. He realized the pearl was unclaimed chaos heavenly bug, who once refined it, was long dead, and Golden Supreme never even knew it existed, let alone refined it. This made his work faster. Within half a day the preliminary refinement was done. Full refinement could wait, now was not the time. When complete, Lin Moyu saw the true face of the hidden spirit pearl, a nearly transparent orb covered inside and out with intricate, natural markings. He took the pearl from the bug steel. He could see it clearly, but Golden Supreme could not. Once it was out, Lin Moyu promptly put it away and told the Supreme, "You can now refine the spider god web. Once you do, not only will you have a supreme treasure, but you'll be able to escape the bug steel and regain your freedom." For the first time, joy flashed in Golden Supreme's eyes, but his tone remained calm. "The Calamity Brat did not deceive me. I keep my word. I won't trouble you or ever oppose the Calamity Brat in the future. The Calamity Brat's grand array is there. Go and refine it." With that, Golden Supreme eagerly set to refining the spider god web, ignoring Lin Moyu completely. After being trapped for eons, freedom was now his only, greatest wish. Chapter 4550, Chapter 4550, The Residual Chi of Primordial Heaven. Chapter 4550, The Residual Chi of Primordial Heaven. At this point, Lin Moyu finally breathed a sigh of relief. Facing Golden Supreme, the uncertainty of the outcome before was mentally exhausting. If he couldn't solve the Golden Supreme's problem and a fight broke out, Lin Moyu knew he likely wouldn't be his match. He was confident in surviving, but he could end up trapped at the South Pole, unable to escape, let alone refine the Grand Array. Fortunately, the matter was resolved, and he also gained some benefits. The Hidden Spirit Pearl was extremely useful to him. With it, even the Dao would basically have no idea what he was doing, as long as the Dao wasn't intentionally targeting him. His safety improved dramatically, and he could act freely in certain matters. Moreover, the days of Little Tree and Chaos Child having to stay so shrouded in concealment were over. In all of heaven and earth, there are few things that can evade the Dao. The Calamity Scepter is one, and the Hidden Spirit Pearl can, to some extent, do so as well. In certain aspects, the Hidden Spirit Pearl's function even surpasses the Calamity Scepter. Lin Moyu sent the Hidden Spirit Pearl into his soul world, igniting the soul fire to begin refining it. In terms of pure soul power, Lin Moyu wasn't that much weaker than the old Chaos Heavenly Bug. Fully refining the Hidden Spirit Pearl would still take a long time, at least 10,000 years. But Lin Moyu had methods. With the help of the celestial jellyfish, the speed could be much faster. Also, his soul power was nearly unlimited. Little Tree continually supplied soul force, further accelerating the process. So instead of 10,000 years, it would take only a bit over 100 years to fully refine the pearl. And as the refinement progressed, the soul world's ability to hide itself would steadily increase. While refining the Hidden Spirit Pearl, Lin Moyu left the bug steel and headed toward the Calamity Supreme's formation. The bug steel was so large that even if the Grand Array looked close, the distance was still quite great. Lin Moyu traveled on Xiaopeng not to save time, just out of laziness. Xiaopeng flew for several days, finally arriving before the Grand Array. The space around the Grand Array was distorted. Lin Moyu sensed a spatial pathway connecting the Grand Array to the bug steel. Using this path, the array continually drew power from the bug steel. The bug steel's strength came from the Chaos Heavenly Bug, the Primal Chaos Primitive Bug, and the Golden Sun Sovereign. Although powerful, it remained at the third tier, not enough to truly matter to Calamity Supreme, who was after the Dao and required a much greater power. But since Calamity Supreme did it this way, he must have his reasons. Given his personality, he was not one to settle for second best. Perhaps I'll find out by going in, Lin Moyu thought. He drew out symbols, smoothly opened the array, and stepped into it. Structurally, the array was much like those he'd seen before. Lin Moyu found the center and entered the array's core region. At the center stood a faceless statue. As Lin Moyu approached, the statue emitted a familiar voice, "My inheritor, you've finally arrived." Lin Moyu replied unkindly, "Drop the act, you know." The familiar voice sounded a bit embarrassed, "Just kidding, don't be so serious." The Calamity Supreme's will in the statue was very strong. Through this will, he connected to all the statues in the formation and knew Lin Moyu would come. Still keeping up the act, Lin Moyu scorned him internally. Lin Moyu asked, "Do you have something important to say, or is this just a greeting?" Calamity Supreme said, "There are some things to discuss. Don't you think it's curious that I set up this grand array here?" Lin Moyu nodded. "It is a bit strange." Calamity Supreme continued, "Actually, it's perfectly logical. In that era, there was a force called Primordial Heaven Qi." Lin Moyu was taken aback. Why mention Primordial Heaven Qi? Was there some link between the array and Primordial Heaven Qi? But that Qi was long depleted by the time of Calamity Supreme, none existed in the world by then. Without giving him time to ponder, Calamity Supreme went on, "Primordial Heaven Qi is the most fundamental essence of heaven and earth. Regrettably, we were born too late, none remained by our time. However, I found a trace of it inside the bug steel. So I exhausted every means to construct a grand array here, simply to absorb that ounce of Primordial Heaven Qi." Calamity Supreme finished explaining why he set up the grand array, surprising Lin Moyu. How could any Primordial Heaven Qi still be left, and how did he find it? Lin Moyu asked, "How did you know it was Primordial Heaven Qi?" Calamity Supreme laughed, "We old fellows walked all over the primal chaos wilderness, picked up a lot of treasures, and learned about many things from ages past. Primordial Heaven Qi is no great secret among us ancient ones, and I have the means to recognize it. I won't bore you with details. Just so you know, I've already taken away that bit of Primordial Heaven Qi from the bug steel. Apart from the Qi, I also refined the energies within the bug steel, gathered the essence, reverted it to its origins. Part of it has been siphoned away by the array, the other part I left for you. The pool up ahead is yours. If you're not picky, soak in it, it will do you much good. That's it, I'm leaving. We'll meet again." A spatial portal appeared, and the statue dove in, vanishing. Calamity Supreme's will went out of his way to tell Lin Moyu these things, making Lin Moyu feel a little strange. Why tell him about the Primordial Heaven Qi? Was he explaining his motives? Given his personality, that seemed unlikely. Then perhaps it was to hint at something else. There must be more Primordial Heaven Qi left somewhere in the primal chaos wilderness. He could recognize and obtain such Qi, which meant he had truly seen it. Lin Moyu's mind whirred, "It's not in the chaos, it should be in the primal wilderness. He once saw Primordial Heaven Qi there. But if he had seen it in the primal wilderness, why go to all this trouble with the bug steel instead of harvesting it directly? Maybe what he saw in the primal wilderness was simply a projection through time and space." Both possibilities were valid. Lin Moyu thought Calamity Supreme was actually nudging him, "Go take a walk in the primal wilderness deep into it, for there are secrets there." That's why he mentioned having traveled all across the primal chaos wilderness, and repeated it today clearly. It held more meaning. But why would Primordial Heaven Qi remain inside the bug steel? Lin Moyu put the question to Little Tree, and Little Tree's answer was simple: the hidden spirit pearl absorbed a measure of Primordial Heaven Qi but never took full form, so it couldn't process all the energy, thus leaving some behind. Calamity Supreme found out and drew it off. That means, even if he didn't know it was the hidden spirit pearl, he knew there was something special there. If he solved this matter, he'd deal with the Golden Supreme's predicament. Thus, he dared arrange the array and left the opportunity for Lin Moyu himself. This was a deep game. Lin Moyu sighed emotionally, looking ahead at the pool. After countless years, the formation had drawn inconceivable power from the bug steel, refining and purifying it to leave only the most essential essence. Part was reserved for the future, the rest was left for him.